A man that knows everything knows nothing at all, right? You guys always hear me say, if I got two motherfuckers, one that knows how to chop a tree and one that does not, but the one that does know how to chop a tree doesn't chop it, I'm gonna roll with the motherfucker that doesn't know how, but he at least tries. Action, action, action. That is the word for 2026, right? But one thing I've learned over the years, fellas, to take better action, you have to have the right knowledge. A man that knows everything knows nothing at all. When I was a skinny dweeb like you're seeing right here, broken, depressed, beating my dick every day, right? Didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do with my life. Chicks was playing me to the motherfucking left. I had to come to realization that I didn't know shit and that knowledge was power, right? And in order to get that knowledge, I had to read. And over the course of 3 years, not only was I able to transform my physique into what you're seeing right here, but I've also been able to triple my income and escape my 9 to 5 and do what I love to do and be fulfilled on an everyday basis. But I can tell you right now, I wouldn't have been able to make that transformation financially or physically if I didn't read the books that I'm going to share with you today. Knowledge is power. So not only do I want you to take the right actions so you can gain power in 2026, I want to speed up the process for you because success loves speed. So the books I'm about to display for you, brother, I still want you to read them, but I want you to watch this video. As you can see, it's pretty lengthy. So if you can't sit down for 3+ hours and take notes, and not only take notes but apply it, this shit isn't for you. I'm talking to the 1%ers, the maniacs, the ones that want to be exceptional. If that's you, brother, grab your pen and pencil, sit down on a laptop and take notes and take action on everything that I'm about to share with you, brother. Because the difference between this and other videos I've dropped is I've gave you specific summaries on books, but now I'm giving you in-depth analysis on each chapter from each book of these 4 books that changed my life and made me make the transformations that you're seeing today. Not only myself, but what you're seeing right here, 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 and right here, right? I had to get the knowledge first. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it.
It's time! It's time, fellas. Welcome to the Atomic Habits module, man. This is the first module in the 1% library, man, and it's for good reason, fellas. I've said this in countless YouTube videos, man. This isn't my favorite book of all time, but this is the most important book I've ever read of all time. This is the #1 book I recommend all men read, starting off the journey, 100%, no doubt in my mind. This is like the Bible of productivity. And this is one of the first books that I read when I was a skinny dweeb, when I was broke, depressed, losing my hair. And I was like, holy shit, I need to change my life. This was one of the first books I read. I want to say Aman Ghazi is one of the ones that, got me hip to this book. A very successful entrepreneur. If you haven't heard of him, I recommend, you guys go check him out. But I gave plenty of book reviews, but I'm very excited about this series, as you guys have heard in the intro, because I'm going to be breaking it down a lot more in depth and by chapter. So I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it, right? So let's start with chapter 1, fellas, right? So one thing you must understand, man, is life is about choices, right? Making a choice that is 1% better or worse seems insignificant in the moment, but over a span of moments, those choices determine the life of who you are and what you could be. Right. You also must understand that success is a product of daily habits, not once in a lifetime transformations. You guys always hear me say the daily tiny battles will define your future. You have to understand, fellas, that life is about margins, right? If you see an individual who's better than you or in a specific realm, whether it be fitness, mindset, business, they take advantage of margins. And all a margin is a time frame of choices, right? So I'll name a few margins. Your 5 to 9, waking up at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or after work, 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. That is a margin. Your weekend is a margin. Your morning routine is a margin. Your lunch break is a margin. What choices are you making within those margins? Because they seem so insignificant, right? They do. But over the time of your life, the choices within those minor margins are going to be the product of who you are and where you could be, right? Example, going to sleep early, fellas. If you go to sleep early and wake up 2 hours earlier than the average individual, right? At the end of the fucking year, you will have 30 more days than that individual. How can a motherfucker catch you if you have 30 more days at the end of the year than them? It's literally impossible, right? But that's a minor choice. Am I going to scroll at night? Am I going to watch Power at night? Am I going to beat my dick at night? Or am I going to go to sleep on time so I can wake up earlier and win that choice, right? And over the span of 3 years, that's 90 more days than I have versus the average individual. That's a choice, right? Same with negatively, right? And the thing about positive and negative choices, fellas, positively, me waking up 2 hours earlier, maybe a year, maybe 2 years in, I don't see the compound effect of them right away. But over the span of 5, I do, right? Same thing with Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant used to work out 4 times a fucking day versus everybody else used to do 2 or 3. In the beginning, he didn't see the pros of that. When Kobe got into the league, he was on a bench. But as time progressed, it kept adding up, and he created that gap. But it all started with that choice of him working out 4 times a day versus 3, right? But it's the opposite I'm sorry, but it's the same in the negative light, right? When you beat your dick, you don't see the negative of that choice right away. You don't. But over the span of 2 to 3 years, brother, you got erectile dysfunction, you're losing your hair, the testosterone is low, you scared to talk to chicks, your shit can't stay hard, right? You gotta watch porn to get up. You're addicted to porn, right? But early on, most of y'all done beat your dick. I know I used to, right? Early on, I was cool. There wasn't no cons of it. But as it started to progress, it started fucking me up, right? But it was all about those minor choices that added up, brother, right? Next thing you must understand is systems, right? So that, results have very little to do with the standards you set up to obtain. It's the systems that you follow that will lead to the results, the processes, right? Achieving standards can change your life and an accomplishment for the moment, but the systems are key for continuous lifetime improvements. That is literally, if you're in the elite, the fucking powerless, brother. Right? I tell you guys, I don't give a fuck if it's COVID-20, if R. Kelly get out, or if Tupac resurrect from the fucking dead. Those non-negotiables must get done on a day-to-day basis. You have to treat your life like a successful business. A successful business. When they make a fucking house, fellas, they don't just say, oh, we'll put the walls right here. We'll build the doors tomorrow. And if we feel like it, we'll add in the windows. No! They have a system and they follow it. That's why it doesn't matter if you're black, blue, yellow, or orange. You can build a house if you're taught how to. Why? Because you have a system, right? That's why it doesn't matter if you have a college degree or you're dumb as fuck. You can be a manager at McDonald's. Why? Because they have a system. This is how the burgers are made. This is how the fries are made. This is how you turned on the fucking Sprite machines. They have a system. It must be the same thing with your life and everything that you wish to obtain. What do you want to accomplish? I want to be 10% body fat. Okay, what are the high leverage tasks that you must complete on a day-to-day basis to get to 10% body fat? I want to make 10K a month with e-commerce. Okay, cool. What are the high leverage tasks that you must complete on a day-to-day basis to get to 10K a month? I can say all I want, that I want to retire my mother and drive a Lamborghini Urus. At the time of recording this video, I haven't done that yet, but hopefully if you're watching this in the future, you're like, damn, Croc called it out. Yes, of course. Why? Because I'm not focused on a Lamborghini Urus and retiring my mom. I'm focused on what are the highest leverage tasks that I can do on a day-to-day basis to make hitting that standard impossible. I'm sorry, make failure impossible with hitting that standard. That is a system, right? Next, you must understand the importance of delayed gratification, fellas. If somebody asked me, what's the number one component outside of like distractions that causes men not to be successful, it would be delayed gratification. Fellas, every man wants the same things that you want. The men that have them delayed their gratification and practice patience, right? They focused on the input, standards, and results. Let me give you an example of both. Input standard is instead of saying, I'm going to get to 10% body fat, you're saying, I'm going to go to the gym every single day. That's the input standard. An input result is not thinking, damn, I want 10% body fat. It is thinking, no, week 2, Bulgarian split squats was easier. Week 5, I can run on the treadmill and not walk. That's an input result. So yeah, it's not the 10% body fat, but it's a result, right? You have to focus on those things, man. Patience is everything, right? Patience is everything. You have to go through your 0 to 32 degrees, which is another thing I got from this book, right? At 10 degrees, the ice cube doesn't melt. At 20 degrees, the ice cube doesn't melt. At 30 degrees, that motherfucker does not melt. Right at 32, that motherfucker melts. The thing about it, fellas, when you're chasing this 1%, you don't know how long that 0 to 32 is going to be. You don't. And you must practice delayed gratification. Everything is positive on the realm of on the other side of delayed gratification. There's nothing negative that comes out of that. Right? Now, you also want to have the healthy amount of paranoia. Don't say CrossFit practice delayed gratification, so I'm going to just do 1 hour of deep work for the rest of the year. No! Push yourself, which I'll get into in a second, right? But still delay your gratification, brother. Focus on the input standards and the input results, right? Every motherfucker that you look up to in any realm or that's exceptional in a specific field, brother, they went through the trenches for years and years and years. They had it just as bad as you or worse, and they still made a motherfucking way and was patient. So why the fuck can't you? We're not chicks and kids. We can't just snap our fingers and be 1% men. This shit takes time, brother. So put in the work and be patient. Please! Right? And it was the same thing with my gym transformation, fellas. Month 1, I didn't see no results. Month 3, I didn't see no results. Month 6, I didn't see no results. Month 9, it hit. Same thing with YouTube. Month 1, I didn't see no results. Month 2, I didn't see no results. Month 3, it started to hit. Times as well, With YouTube, it was 3 months. With my gym transformation, it was 9. You don't know the fucking timeline. But I can assure you right now, when I was in that gym and when I was cooking up these and scripting these YouTube videos, as hard as it was, fellas, I was like, yo, I got to just focus on making the best YouTube videos of all time. I got to just focus on increasing my intensity in this gym, time on my range for less time, pushing myself in these failure reps and for X amount of days, and I know it will hit. I had to delay my gratification, brother. You must do the same in whatever realm. You're not special. So next we get into chapter 2, right? And chapter 2 talks about identity-based habits, right? With success, it's not about what you want to obtain. It's about who you have to become, right? And one thing, a way to think about this, fellas, is, on a day-to-day basis, with everything that you're doing in your life, I want you to ask yourself, would the best version of myself be doing this, right? I do the same thing, right? My standard at this specific time of recording this video is to make $100,000 a month, right? So everything I do in my life, I ask myself, with the crowd that's making $100,000 a month, would he be doing this task? Would he not be doing this task? That is how you try to treat your life. With everything that you're adopting, with habits, right? Is this habit giving a point to my hero or a point to my villain? What is the identity of a man that has 10% body fat? What is the identity of a man that has 1,000 YouTube subscribers? What is the identity of a man that's making 10K a month for real estate? What is his identity? Is he waking up early? Is he saying no to distractions? Is he eating correctly? Is he tracking his macros? Is he getting a 90% powerless completion rate? Is he investing in his future? What is his identity? What does he do? That is what you must focus on. Not, oh, I want a Lamborghini. Oh, I want abs. Brother, who gives a fuck? What is a person with a Lamborghini and abs? What is his identity? How does he act on an everyday basis? What is his mindset? Right? What is his routine? What is he saying no to? That is what you must focus on, brother. Right? And the next thing you must understand is the importance of pride, right? The more pride you have in a particular aspect of your identity, the more motivated you'll be to maintain it, right? So for instance, I used to hate putting my whiteners in my teeth at night. And it wasn't that like I didn't want my teeth to be white, fellas. It was more so because like, to me, it was a little bit too tedious at night. Like I just wanted to go to bed if I was super tired, right? But I just stopped being a bitch and did it, right? But one thing I will say is once my teeth got a little wider and I started to see the progress, it became easier to do. Same thing with the gym. When I wasn't, didn't have the physique I have now, it was a little bit harder to go to the gym. But now that I have it, right, I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta maintain it, right? It's 2 types of phases, fellas. It's a building phase and a maintaining phase. All this is saying, fellas, and what I'm trying to explain to you that I gained from this chapter is that once you're in your maintaining phase, once it hits and you got the results, right, it's easier to do the hardest things because you have a little bit of pride. You have a little bit of ego, which is good to a specific extent, right? Like I'm not gonna miss the gym because I know I'll take my shirt off. Shorty is salt, and she goes nuts. I know when I go to the pool and homie wife is keep doing, she keep doing this. I got a lot of pride with the output. So I want to maintain it. That's what this chapter talks about. But the only way to get pride within a specific realm, fellas, is to put in the fucking work and delay your gratification, like I just explained, right? That's all that means, right? Next, I want to talk about conditioning, right? So progress in life, fellas, requires unlearning, right? To become the best version of yourself, you have to continuously edit your beliefs to upgrade and expand your identity, right? So, fellas, I had a lot of poor conditioning, right? For an example, whether you're an elite or you're in the community, in some way, shape, or form, you invested to learn from me in some way, shape, or form, or work with me, right? Some of the fuckers are conditioned to think that's dumb or they could do it themselves. From kids, right? And a lot of times, fellas, it's due to the price, right? The price, right? I don't know about y'all, but I didn't grow up rich, right? So every little thing was, oh, just get this, it's cheaper, or we got food at home. I was subconsciously conditioned to always think about the price. As I've leveled up, fellas, I understand that price is important. The difference between wealthy people and poor people is they look at the value versus the price. Poor people look at the price, wealthy people look at the value. What value am I getting from this? And I'll pay for that because the value that I'm going to get from it, the knowledge that I'm going to get from it, once I implement it, is going to be double the price. Fellas, I'm a product of what I preach. I've invested over, at this point of this video, $35,000 in mentors to learn what I'm doing now and shit that I'm not even using no more, right? But I would have paid double to learn that information because that information has made me double. What I'm trying to tell you is that my conditioning at first wasn't that, right? I've joined plenty of mentorships or tried to join plenty of mentorships when I was a dweeb, and they dropped that price. I'm like, I don't know, brother. That's a lot of money. A lot of money to who? Your parents because they told you that? The school systems because they told you that? Right? Your friends because they told you that? That's all conditioning, right? You guys always hear me say, to get what most don't have, you must do what most won't do. To think how most don't think, you must think how most don't think. And you must unlearn a lot of shit that you were conditioned to think, brother. Right? That's all that means, right? Next, we get into chapter 3, right? In chapter 3, it talks about the importance of freedom. And all habits do, fellas, is create more freedom cognitively or physically, right? Habits do not restrict freedoms, instead, they create it. The more your brain is on automatic for certain problems, the more you are able to enjoy life. Let me give you an example. It has become a habit for me to hit the gym. I'm going to keep hammering in the gym, man. So fucking important, physical fitness. It has become a habit for me to hit the gym, right, fellas? Right? And due to me hitting the gym, right, and getting the physique that I have now, right, I now can approach a chick and not be insecure. Like, I have the freedom to think, oh, she's gonna think I'm fat, or she's gonna think I'm a skinny dweeb. I don't even think that. I have the freedom to be like, oh shit, I'm him. Let me approach this chick. Right? That's what habits create. Next, I want to talk about the habit loop, which is something I talk about a lot, and it's so important, fellas. So one thing you must understand is every habit has 4 stages: cue, craving, response, reward. Let me explain all. Let me give you an example while I explain it, right? So cue, let's use porn. Cue would be, I'm on Instagram and I see a girl doing Bulgarian split squats and she got a fat ass. That would be the cue. The craving will be, damn, I want to beat my meat now, right? The response will be, let me go to Pornhub and find my favorite scene, right? And the reward would be you ejaculating. That is a habit loop, fellas, right? So when you're creating a good habit, you want to make the cue obvious, you want to make the craving attractive, you want to make the response easy, and you want to make the reward satisfying, right? If you want to break bad habits, you want to make the cue invisible, you want to make the craving unattractive, you want to make the response difficult, and you want to make the reward unsatisfying. So let's use the same example, and I'm going to give you guys an example of cue, craving, response, reward of what I could do to quit my porn addiction, right? So for cue, I have to make it invisible. Right. So a way to make me seeing that big booty girl on Instagram invisible is to unfollow these fucking Instagram models that don't follow you back, you fucking dweeb, that never are going to give you some ass for the time of day. That's me making it invisible. Right. The craving will be making going to Pornhub unattractive. Right. How do I make that unattractive? Maybe I have the website's blocked. Right. Maybe I have an accountability partner. Right. That I have to tell every time I beat my meat, hey, I beat my dick. That's making it unattractive. Right. Maybe making it difficult. Right. Making it difficult, maybe at the end of the night, I put my phone on the other side of the room, or I put my phone in my drawer, right? That's making it difficult to go beat my dick, right? Or make it unsatisfying, right? What does that mean? If you beat your dick with lotion, brother, fucking don't use lotion the next time you want to beat your dick, so it don't feel satisfying. That is an example of cue, craving, response, reward. Now let's do the same thing with the good habit, right? Let's say that I was trying to go to the gym, right? Let's make it obvious, right? A way to make it obvious to me, if I was trying to get in shape, is to read my list, to hit my list, live or my villain versus hero every single morning. I'm making it obvious that I'm unconfident in my physique. I'm a skinny dweeb. I'm losing my hair. Holy shit, something needs to change. That's how I'm making it obvious with the cue. I'm making it attractive. How do I make it attractive? Let me invest in the gym with some good lighting, some good music, some chicks that are attractive, right? So it's making that hard task that I really don't want to do very, very attractive, right? How do I make it easy, right? Invest in a coach that has been through the trial and error so we can speed up the process for you, which is something all of you have done to a certain extent, right? You're making it easy. Make it satisfying. How do I make it satisfying? To me, the number one way to make it satisfying, fellas, is exactly this. Get in a community where doing an action that's hard for you is praised, right? Like for me, fellas, at the time of recording this video, I just came back from a mastermind, right? And going to a mastermind is one of the best things you could do, like an in-person mastermind around other individuals in your specific realm. And we were at the mastermind and we were talking about like our consistency with content and posting stories and YouTube videos and whatever the case may be, right? And doing those hard tasks within content creation was praised. right? So that made it satisfying for me to maintain the trajectory and the intensity I had with that specific realm. That is how I made it satisfying due to that environment, fellas, right? So again, there's 4 stages of a habit: cue, craving, response, reward, right? And this is broken down into 2 phases, right? You have the problem phase, right? The cue and the craving is the problem phase. This is the realization that something needs to change. And the solution phase is the response and the reward, when you take action and achieve the change desired, right? All behavior is driven to solve a problem, right? So within those 4 stages, all you're thinking is any habit that you do is to solve a problem. Why do you eat? Because you're hungry, right? Period. Why do you go to sleep? Because you're tired, right? All habits are solving problems, right? But you want to make sure within these 4 stages, right, that you're solving the right problems and you're running the fuck away from shit that you shouldn't be doing that's negative, and running the fuck towards shit that's positive in regards to habits. So that's what chapter 3 talks about, fellas. Next, we'll get into chapter 4, right? The habit myth, right? The thing about habits, fellas, there's no such thing as good or bad habits. There's only effective, neutral, or non-effective habits. When determining effective, neutral, or non-effective habits, ask yourself this question: does this behavior help me become the person I wish to be, or does this habit cast a vote against my desired identity? So I covered this a little bit in chapter 2. With everything that you're doing, fellas, does this give a point to my hero, or does this give a point to my villain? Right? A neutral habit means it doesn't do either or. An effective habit means it gives a point to the hero, and a non-effective habit will mean it gives a point to the villain. Right? So there's no such thing as positive and negative. It's either, good or bad. It's only effective and non-effective. Right? Next, I want to get into the pointing and calling method. This is one of my favorite things I learned from this book, right? And this really works, fellas, so I want you to try it, right? And what this does, the ideology behind this is that the first step to changing habits is to be on the lookout and notice them, right? What the pointing and calling method does, fellas, is like you literally say out loud what the fuck you're doing that you know you shouldn't be doing, right? So like I used to do this with beat my dick. I used to when I was in the process of quitting porn and stop beating my dick, anytime I got the urge to, I would be like, I got to stop beating my dick or I'm going to have erectile dysfunction. Because last time I was with that 10, I couldn't get hard. I got to stop beating my dick because I'm losing my hair. I know this sounds nuts, fellas. I know some of y'all probably laughing at me saying this. But when you say it out loud, it will have a major effect on you doing it or not. I promise you. And when I read this, I'm like, man, it ain't no way. And I did it and it worked. Same thing. I do the same thing now with scrolling. I'll be like, why are you scrolling? There's 168 hours in a week. If you spend 0 hours outside of work, not focusing on the crap, you'll be the same man you are in 5 years. The average man spends 3 hours a day scrolling. I'm literally yelling it to myself, right? And this shit really works. Like hearing the bad habits spoken out loud makes the consequences seem more real, fellas. This really works. I want you guys to try this with anything: vaping, weed, alcohol, beating your dick, whatever the case may be, scrolling, whatever you're doing that you know you shouldn't be doing that aren't giving a point to that hero. I literally want you to say it out loud and why you shouldn't be doing it the next time you want to do it. And you will be surprised. I promise you. Right? Next, let's get into chapter 5, man. This is one of the biggest components I got from this book. You don't lack motivation and discipline, brother. You lack clarity, right? Be specific about what you want and how you want to achieve it, and say no to anything that's not giving a point to that, right? Focus, to me, fellas, is saying yes to one thing and no to everything else. And you can't be focused unless you have clarity. You can't, right? Fellas, and it's funny that these kind of piggyback on each other. You don't have clarity because you smoke. You don't have clarity because you beat your dick. You don't have clarity because you scroll all day. Fellas, I promise you right now, even preparing to record this, I literally threw my fucking phone on the other side of the room, right? And focused with this focus timer, right? And really locked in and got clarity on how I wanted to provide value to you guys. But I would have never wanted to be able to do that if I had some chick right here, or I was scrolling, if I was listening to music. You have to be clear of what you want to obtain, long-term and short-term. You don't lack motivation, brother. You lack clarity. Now, once you have clarity on that plan, execute it, right? Period. That's all that this means, right? Next, I want to get into the importance of time and location, right? So it's very, very important to give your habits a time and location and space to live. This is a game changer, fellas. For the longest time, for those that don't know, I had 2 hip surgeries, right? And it was mandatory for me to stretch every day. So when the doctor first told me I had to stretch every day, the first thing I was thinking was like, okay, I'm gonna just stretching. I was working remote at this time. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stretch right after work, or before work, next to my desk, right? But due to me doing it in that environment, it made it a lot more difficult, right? It increased the friction, which I'm gonna get into in a second, right? Versus I said, okay, I go to the gym every day. The gym is more of an environment where I'll stretch. Let me just stretch in the gym, right? Then I quantified it even more. I go to the gym at 5 a.m. I'm going to stretch at 5 a.m. in the gym right after my workout. Versus, oh, I'm just going to wake up and either stretch before I go to work or after go to work right next to my desk. I gave it a time and location, right? A lot of times we know what we're going to do. What time and where are you going to do it? I'm going to do deep work tomorrow. What time and where? Right? I'm going to read tomorrow. What time and where? Right? Giving your habits a time and location, it gives it space to live in the world, and it does like I was spoken about the cue and the craving. It makes it more obvious and more attractive because you know the exact place and time you're going to do it. Right? That's all that means. Right? Next, we'll get into I don't even know how to pronounce this. Diderot effect. This is major game, fellas. Make sure you pay close attention. Right? So what this means, fellas, is obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption that leads to additional purchases, right? So what this means, right, is like, I want to give you an example positively and negatively. So I'll start with positively, not really positively, but neutral. Have you ever like went into the kitchen, fellas, to get some ice cream, right? And then you realize after you ate the ice cream, there was no trash bag. So you went to the store and bought trash bags, right? But as you was in the store buying trash bags, you realized, oh man, I want to try this ice cream flavor. Then you grab the ice cream flavor, and then you say, you know what? I think I want some cookies with it. And then you go to the freezer or the freezer aisle at Target, and you get some cookies. Then you go to the fucking aisle and you say, oh shit, I actually need some Carmex. I ran out of Carmex, and you grab the Carmex. Then you on your way home and you realize, damn, I need a car wash. My shit kind of dirty. As you was walking to the car, leaving Target, you go to the car wash. That is the Diderot effect. That one thing of going to the kitchen, right, to get ice cream and then realizing there was no trash bags enables you to get ice cream, get cookies, get some Carmex and get a car wash. That is the Diderot effect. That's a neutral one, right? Actually, that would be a negative one because that would make you a fat fuck, right? But let me give you an example of a real negative one, right? So like, if you wake up late and you're going to be late for work, right? You letting that negativity spiral is the Diderot effect, right? So a lot of times when one thing will happen when I was a dweeb, I would let that trajectory forward and affect everything else in my life, right? So like if I'll give you the wake up late example. Let's say you wake up late for work, right? And then you go to iron your clothes and you rushing because you're so mad. And then as you iron your clothes, the water gets on your slacks. So now your slacks wet. Then you get dressed and you leave out and you stop at the same red light that you do every day, but you pissed because it's red and it feels like it's a little bit longer than what it's accustomed to, but it's really not. It's just that you're late, right? Then you speed to work, and as you speed, you get a ticket. So now you pissed and you cussing out the officer, right? Then you get to work and your mood is fucked up, right? And not only is you getting an attitude with your boss, but you getting an attitude with your coworkers, all because of that emotion of you waking up a little late. That is a negative Diderot effect, right? So, like I always say, you can't control what happens to you at times, but you can control how you react to it. You can't control that it's raining outside, but you can grab the umbrella, right? You can't control that your alarm didn't go off, but you can control, is that going to affect me ironing my clothes? Is that going to affect how I act at this red light? Is that going to affect how I treat my coworkers, right? You can't control that the gym is packed, but you can make sure you maxing out when that machine open up, right? You have control. Once you accept as a man that you have control, I promise you life will be so much easier. Like once you accept, I'll even take it a step further. Once you start taking accountability for everything, you will assume control. And I know it sounds nuts with the example I'm about to give, but if a car hits you, don't think, why did this car hit me? Think, damn, maybe I should have left at a later time or earlier time. It sounds nuts and extreme, fellas, but once you start taking responsibility for your life positively and negatively, life will be a lot smoother, right? And also not to let the negativity push you off course. Right. So how I explained it from a neutral level with the fucking trash can and fucking CarMax and car wash, I want you to think the same thing negatively. When is the last time something happened in the morning and affected the trajectory of your whole day? Don't let it happen anymore. Right. Next thing I want to speak about is habit stacking. This is one of my favorites. Right. And this is something I still use to this day. If you're implementing something new, fellas, you want to stack it on top of something that you already do. Right. So a lot of you guys that are in the elite, right? For some reason, when guys first join, they have issues remembering to track their power lists at night, right? But hopefully most of you, unless you're a fucking dweeb, you brushing your teeth at night, fellas, right? So I tell guys, bro, when you about to brush your teeth, log the power list. Same thing with tracking your macros. Tracking your macros at first, doing it every day for all 3 meals. Holy shit, this is tough. But I know you wash your hands before you eat or you pray before you eat. Hopefully both. So stack it. When you wash your hands or when you pray before you eat, make a mental note in your head, oh, right after I do this, I gotta track my macros. I gotta take a picture of my macros and submit it to my fitness pal. All right. I used to do this with My teeth whiteners, right? How I just mentioned earlier in this video that I hated putting the teeth whiteners in, but I could wash my face every night. It was very, very weird. So I just told myself, yo, after you do this fucking tea Chenley skin routine, just put your whiteners in, you fucking dweeb. I stacked it, right? So always stack a habit that's new that you're adopting, that's giving a point to your hero with something that you do all the time, right? And it will work wonders for you, right? Next, let's get into chapter 6. And in chapter 6, they talk a lot about physical environment, right? So physical environment, fellas, environment has a major effect on habits, right? Like if you put water in the refrigerator and leave pop in the garage, it's more likely that you're going to drink the water because it's more accessible than the pop, right? That is how you must treat your life. I love Casamigos. I love it. I love to drink, fellas, but I know that drink is not giving a point to my hero. I know that the 1% cry making 100K a month and driving a Lamborghini Urus. He doesn't drink every single fucking day. So what do? I don't even buy it, right? I know that I got to make sacrifices as a man. I got to wake up early. I got to go to sleep on time. I can't be scrolling. I got to stay dialed in. I got to get my guys' results, right? Anybody that's not on that same trajectory and same grind, I don't even put them in my physical environment, right? So I want you to ask yourself, fellas, in your environment, right? Look around you, your friends, your family, your chick. Are they going to point to the menace you have to be or point to your villain? That's part of your physical environment. If they're going to point to the villain, cut them the fuck off. You only get one of these motherfuckers. You can't be a 1% people pleaser and a 1% man. I'm going to continue to hammer that shit through your fucking head. Make a fucking decision. Because everything hurts, but you want to know what hurts more than anything? Regret. I don't want to be an 80-year-old slob, work for 40 years, take 2 vacations every year, right? Then retire at 60 and then get to enjoy my fucking life. Why? Because I couldn't control my physical environment. I wanted to be around dweebs. Stop! Please. You must isolate to elevate, fellas. I made the most progress in my life isolating myself from other people. And I hate to say it, most people are leeches, and not leeches from a financial standpoint, leeches from an energy standpoint, physically or cognitively. They pulling, right? Create a physical environment where you can do the things. Life is already hard enough, fellas. As isolated as I am, this shit is still tough. I can only imagine if I wasn't around the right people, or if I was around anybody, really. I can't imagine it. You have to isolate to elevate, right? That's what this chapter talked about. Next, we'll get into chapter 7, right? And in chapter 7, it talks about the discipline myth, right? So people who have great discipline don't necessarily have good self-control, but these people are just better at structuring their lives and not being in tempting environments, right? So even a lot of you guys, when I get on one-on-one calls with you, you know, you guys that are in the elite, you guys ask me, crowd, how do you stay so disciplined, right? And fellas, this book is facts. I'm disciplined because I don't put myself in environments where I have to be disciplined. I don't. I create an environment where the normality is like discipline, right? I wouldn't even call it discipline. The morality is locked in, right? Like I think about it like this: if you're trying to quit drinking, why even hang around friends that go out to drink, right? If you're trying to have mental clarity, why even pick up that phone call knowing that friend is going to talk about bullshit, right? If you're trying to stop being your dick, why do you keep following these Instagram models that aren't going to follow you the fuck back, right? If you're trying to go to sleep on time, why are you laid up with that chick every single night? You're testing your discipline. You're making it harder than what it really has to be. You making waking up harder because you want to lay down with that chick. You making quitting drinking harder because you want to go to the bar with your homies, even though you know you're not supposed to drink. Period. Right? It's a myth. You think these people, the Alex Hormozis, the Andrew Tates, the Amon Ghazi, you think they so disciplined. No. Like chapter 6, they've created a physical environment where they don't even have to test their discipline. They don't even have to test their discipline. Period, fellas. Next, I want to speak to you about the habit loop, right? This is so powerful, and this is very similar to the Diderot effect, right? But I'll take it even a layer further with the habit loop, right? And the number one consensus of this is with porn. A lot of times, fellas, at least for me, when I was addicted to porn, I would fat because I was stressed, and then I would be more stressed because I fapped. And then I would go through this loop of porn addiction, right? Same thing with the gym. I don't feel like going to the gym. I'm stressed, so I'm not going to go. But now that I didn't go, I'm a little bit more stressed because I didn't relieve it, right? It's a loop,
right? So the only way to stop that loop, fellas, right, is to stop being a fucking dweeb and do the fucking work, right? You don't feel like going to the gym, go to the fucking gym. You want to beat your dick to that fucking Instagram model, don't fucking do it. You want to drink, don't fucking drink. Otherwise, you're just going to keep going through a loop of mediocrity. That's what this book talks about, right? I'm sorry, that's what this chapter talks about, right? But fellas, it's the same thing positively as well, right? So you guys always hear me see that momentum is more powerful than motivation and discipline combined. Why? Because it's a combination of both. You have the momentum or motivation to see how disciplined you were over X amount of days, right? So I go to the gym because I'm motivated to go to the gym. Till when I leave the gym, I'm more motivated, right? How do you think I got to the point, fellas, where I was recording a video a day on YouTube for 120 days? Right? It was like I just recorded one yesterday. I got to record one a day. I got to record this 31st. I haven't missed a video in 100 days. Why should I stop now? I got into a positive loop, right? But the only way to gain momentum is action, action, action. You'll never get a positive loop if you don't take action, and you'll never get out of a negative loop unless you stop taking negative action or just eat the frog with that task that you're running the fuck away from and do it. That's the only way to get out of a habit loop, fellas, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 8, and it talks about temptation bundling, right? So I want you to be very careful with this. Don't be a fucking dweeb and take this out of context, right? You have to be extremely careful with this, and I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you get to a certain level of like output results, right? What temptation bundling means, fellas, is to reward yourself for consistency with input, right? So if you go to the gym for a month straight, that 31st day, have a cheat meal. That is an example of temptation bundling that this talks about. I don't like to practice this. I like to do temptation bundling with a habit that is giving a point to your desired output in some way, shape, or form. So let me use the same example. If I go to the gym for 30 days straight, that 31st day, I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go to a fucking wellness spa, right? So it's not like the thing that the temptation bundling that I bundled it with is not like setting me back. It's like me rewarding myself with a positive habit that really I can't do all the time, but I'm going to do it because I'm going to celebrate me being consistent for X amount of days, right? That's what temptation bundling is. Now, once you get a little bit, farther, like me, every weekend, I'm going to have some Cold Stone and some Wingstop. Why? Because I'm in that maintaining phase. I'm not in the building phase. I've got to my 0 to 32 degrees with my physique. I love my physique. There's not shit I would change outside my calves. My calves can be a little bit better, right? Besides that, I love my physique, right? So I can afford to have a fucking cheat meal. You can't. So make sure you bundle it, right, with something that's going to move the needle forward for you long term, or just to relax you and isn't giving a point to your villain, if that makes sense, right? Next, I want to get into chapter 9. And in chapter 9, it talks about attraction, right? The culture we live in determines which behaviors are attractive to us. Who you hang around has a major effect on habits, right? If a behavior can get us approval, respect, or praise, we find it attractive. Fellas, I'm so happy that I'm making this video at the time of me just leaving this mastermind, because that's literally how I felt leaving a mastermind. So for some of you guys know, some of you don't, I'm in a mentorship with an individual named John Mark Stevenson, right? And where he helps coaches, right? And we went to a mastermind with all of the top coaches, right? That are, killing it right now financially, have the best systems, whatever the case may be. Content is, they're killing it with the content, have, a big Instagrams, big YouTubes, whatever the case may be. Right? Mastermind, it's going to be another one soon. I have like something in me that's like, I don't want to let these guys down. Like, I don't want to let these guys down. And the next time I go to it, I want to have something to brag about. Does that make sense? So even with you guys, man, I've had plenty of calls. It doesn't matter at when the time you're watching this, whether you're like an OG brother of mine or you're a current brother of mine or you're in the community. I've had brothers tell me like, yo, Cry, I just don't want to like disappoint you, right? Like you make self-improvement fun environment that you want to be in. That is the environment I put myself in with the mastermind, and that's exactly what you want to do and what you're doing now. But you can even take it a step further, fellas. Like, even with relationships, man, get with a chick, fellas, that make like the norm to her is eating healthy. The norm to her is hitting the gym. The norm to her is going to sleep on time. To build better habits, it's important to join a culture where your desired behavior is normal, where you already have something in common with the group. That is exactly what you guys are doing. Join 1% Academy,
right? Joining a group where you're a dweeb if you don't go to the gym. You're a dweeb if you don't track your macros. You're a dweeb if you don't do your deep work. You're a dweeb if you don't wake up on time. You're a dweeb if you don't go to sleep on time, right? That's the type of environment you want to be in, brother. You show me your friends, I'll show you your future, right? Your network is your net worth, right? Period, right? So that's what this chapter talks about, fellas. Next, I want to get into chapter 10, and this talks about the habit reframing, right? So reframing your habits to highlight their benefits rather than their drawbacks is a fast way and light way to reprogram your habit to make it seem more attractive, right? This is very, very simple, fellas, but it works wonders for you, right? Like, before I get into this, fellas, I want you guys to realize, like, really how blessed you are. Like, when I pray every night, fellas, the first thing I do is thank God for very small things that a lot of individuals don't thank him for. 5 senses, food, internet, opportunity, a family that loves me, right? A platform, right? Food, shelter, very simple things, fellas, that a lot of, like, you guys don't realize we didn't always have access to that, especially if your color, this is the color of your skin, right? Like, once upon a time, we were slaves, right? And even if you're not African American, once upon a time, we didn't have internet. Once upon a time, we didn't have all this opportunity. Once upon a time, there wasn't gyms. There's individuals that don't have 5 senses. There's individuals that can't see, can't hear, have no arms, have legs, right? You have that. You know how the blessing that is? Don't say, and that's what this talks about. Don't say I have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. Don't say I have to go to sleep on time. I get to go to sleep on time. Don't say I have to eat healthy. I get to eat healthy. That is a blessing. Reframe your mind, brother. Not I have to do it. I get to do it. Right? This will take you a very long way. All right, fellas, next we'll get into chapter 11. This is one of my favorite chapters of the book, man. And the first is that implementation is more important than the information. Oftentimes, fellas, we're searching for the best approach rather than just taking action. Focus on taking action, not being in fucking motion, right? So I don't know where you guys are in this modules, but if you watched all the modules, if you read all the fucking books, if you watched all of my YouTube videos, you don't need any more information. You need to put in the motherfucking work to be the man that you have to be. If I got 2 motherfuckers, one that knows how to chop a tree, one that doesn't, but the one that doesn't at least tries, and the one that knows doesn't do shit, give me the motherfucker that's taking action. And the thing about taking action, fellas, as you take more action, you learn. As you take action, you get more information. How the fuck do I know all this shit about YouTube? By posting a video a day for 120 days. How do I know all this shit about fitness? By showing up and not missing a day for 9 fucking months. You don't need any more information. You need to just do the work. If there was a door and everything that you want, the key to the door will be implementation, brother. Do the fucking work. You don't need any more information. That's what this book talks about, right? Next thing I want to speak to you about is why frequency with the habit is more important than time, right? So all of you have mastered tying your shoe. We didn't master tying our shoe by tying it for 2 hours, right? We mastered tying our shoe by tying it for 30 seconds every single day, right? I didn't master going to the gym by going every day for 5 hours. I mastered it by going an hour a day, right? So what this means, fellas, is the frequency when you're doing a habit is more important than the time that you spend on it, right? If you spend 30 minutes a day on deep work, you will be a lot farther than a motherfucker that thinks they have to spend 5, but then they're going to fall off after a week. Does that make sense? So always prioritize frequency over time, right? Next, I want to speak about the ideology around easy, right? So it's human nature for us to always do what is easy. Like, the body was made to survive, not to be abundant. So the body will always try to do the easiest thing, right? So what this means is that the less energy that a habit requires, the more likely it is to occur. You ever notice that it's so much easier to watch Netflix for 3 hours than it is to do deep work for 3 hours, right? That's what this is talking about, right? So the easiest way to overcome the easy ideology, fellas, is to eat the frog, right? So I got this from this book as well. If you had frog and dinner, what would you eat first? I hope most of you motherfuckers said the fucking frog, right? So that way you can go to sleep with the dinner taste in your mouth. That is how they beat the easy ideology, right? Because you must understand we only have X amount of cognitive and physical energy. So let's think about it from a physical perspective. Me personally, when I do leg day, I'm doing barbell back squat first because that's the easiest time for me to do it because my body is fresh, right? When I was a skinny dweeb, I used to work out first thing in the morning because I knew that was the hardest thing I had to do throughout my day. And I knew as the day progressed, I would have more distractions. I would have less focus. That's how I'm making it easy, right? And another way to make it easy, fellas, is friction, right? And life is all about friction, right? The greater the obstacle, the more difficult the habit. That's why it's crucial to make your habits so easy that you'll do them even when you don't feel like it. The standard of life, fellas, should be to make it as easy as possible to make the high leverage tasks that are going to be to make you the man that you want to be on a day-to-day basis, make them as easy as possible, and make the shit that's not moving the needle forward as hard as possible. Life is about friction. Let me give you an example, right? I don't like to make my food, right? At this point in my life. When I was a dweeb and I was broke, I had to, but now I don't feel like doing that because I have so much other shit I could be doing that's higher leverage. If I was a dweeb, what I would do is either make my food and be a dweeb in my work or just order DoorDash every single day, right? So what do I do to decrease the friction of me eating some bullshit, even though I don't want to cook? Meal delivery, right? I'll use the Casamiso examples again. I love to drink, right? How do I increase the friction with drinking to make sure I don't do it? Because I know that habit is not giving a point to the man that I have to be. Don't buy the alcohol, right? I'm locked in on this presentation. I don't need any distractions. How do I increase the friction that I don't get distracted? Put my fucking phone on D&D, right? It's hard for me to track my macros. I keep forgetting. Habit stacking was something that you already do. That's decreasing the friction, right? It's hard for me to remember to take my vitamins, but you remember to brush your teeth. Put your vitamins where you put your toothbrush. You're decreasing the friction to do the tasks that you know you're supposed to be doing. Life is about that, right? And it's the same with people. If a person is making it hard for you to adopt habits, cut them the fuck off. If a person is making it easier for you to adopt habits, invest, which all of you guys did, which is what I will continue to do with my life. Life is about friction, and that's what this talks about, fellas. Next, we'll get into chapter 13, right? So chapter 13 talks about the 2-minute rule, right? And this basically means when you start a habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Practice just starting the habit, showing up as half the battle. As time progresses, you will progress as well, right? So a lot of times with doing stuff, especially like I like to use the gym and the deep work as an example. Like early in my journey, the gym session wasn't hard, fellas. It was just showing up for that first 2 minutes. Once I realized, oh shit, I'm here, I'm gonna do it, right? It's the same thing with deep work or even this presentation. This is something I've been procrastinating all day. Once I got 2 minutes in, I'm here. That's what this talks about. If you can get over that little hump of like the little hump of discomfort, fellas, your life will change, right? That is what the 2-minute rule is. So just focus on whatever you're adopting, getting past that first 2 minutes, and I promise you'll realize, yo, this shit really isn't that bad. Period, right? And once you start doing it in one specific realm, you'll be able to replicate that. That's why I always say the gym must be the foundation for every man. Me knowing that when I didn't want to go to the gym, I showed up and after 2 minutes, I was good. I take that same mindset with reading, with deep work, whatever the case may be, anything that I'm trying to adopt to make me the man that I have to be. I know I didn't feel like showing up to the gym session, but after 2 minutes, I was cool. It was going to be the same thing with this deep work session. It's going to be the same thing with scripting out this video, whatever the case may be. Get over that 2-minute hump, fellas. I promise it'll work wonders for you, right? Next, I want to talk about a commitment advice, which is what chapter 14 talks about, which is what really all of you guys have done, right? A commitment advice is a choice you make in the present that controls your actions in the future. It's a way to lock in future behavior, bind you to good habits, and restrict you from bad ones. If you are trying to, right? So like me, fellas, me currently right now, I'm boxing, right? So it's something that I want to commit to, but I know if I don't commit to it, I'll be a dweeb with it, right? So what I did was I pay my coach on a monthly basis, right? So what that basically means, fellas, if there's a day I don't feel like going or a week I don't feel like going, it's like, fuck, I paid, let me do it, right? That is the reason why a lot of the value and the one-on-one intimacy that I give in this program, I don't give to guys that aren't in my program. Why? Because you invested X amount of money to get in it. So it's like anytime you don't want to do something, it's like, fuck, I committed to it. Right? That's what a commitment device is, right? That is literally what you did. So in short form, fellas, this basically means investing in accountability. That's basically what it means, right? When you invest in something and it hurts you to invest, you're more inclined to do the work that you really don't want to do because that investment hurt, right? And you don't want to be in dweeb because that investment hurt. You want to get something out of it. That is what a commitment device is. Investing in a mentor, which is something all of you guys have done, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 15, right? And chapter 15 talks a little bit more about delayed gratification, a little bit more in depth, right? So success in any field requires you to ignore immediate reward and favors delayed reward. Every successful person went through years of trial and error. To practice delayed gratification, you must work with human nature and not against it. This means added immediate pleasure to habits that pay off in the long run and a little bit of immediate pain to the ones that don't. You must make sure that the short-term reward aligns with the long-term reward, right? So again, same shit as I was saying in chapter 1, fellas. You have to be patient, right? This book reiterated it because it understands how many men are fucking dweebs with patience, right? I promise you, it's not that you're not working hard. You just haven't worked hard long enough. I was talking to John Mark recently, man, and he coaches coaches. So a lot of times he'll speak to coaches and they'll tell him like, "Yo, Cry, I've been locked in," or "Yo, John, I've been locked in for a year," but they really haven't, right? You was locked in for 3 months, then you fell off for a month. Then you locked in for 2 more, then fell off for 4. And then you locked in for the last 3 months of the year, but you're saying you'd be locked in for the whole year. No, brother, you were locked in for 6 months, right? You were locked in for 6 months. You have to be patient, but you have to be persistent as well, right? So delay gratification, brother, it will take you a long way, right? Next, I want to get into visuals, which is something I'm huge on, right? What this chapter talks about, fellas, is that visual measures are important for progress, right? This is literally the program. If you're in the elite, this is why we have the powerless, right? So you can see on a day-to-day basis, I'm checking off that box, I'm checking off that box, I'm checking off that box. You can see on the weekly analysis, I won Monday, I won Tuesday, I won Wednesday. You can see on the monthly analysis, I won month 1, I won month 2. You need to see it. Same thing with the weight gain or weight loss tracker. Okay, I lost 3 pounds this week. I lost 6 pounds the next week. I lost 4 pounds the next week. You can see that graph that you're ahead of target. Let's say you're gaining weight. I gained 2 pounds this week. I gained 3 pounds this week. I gained 4 pounds this week. You can see the momentum. Visuals are so important. We're creatures of seeing, of visuals, right? This book talks about the importance of that. I would say this book inspired the powerless, because when I'm seeing that I'm winning days, it's building a confidence. It's building certainty with my input results and my input standards, right? So maybe it's not a powerless, but I would recommend, fellas, let's say you're trying to quit smoking, right? And I would get a jar, an empty jar, and a paper clip. And every day that you don't smoke, throw a paper clip in the jar. I can tell you right now, as you see that jar increase, you will have more confidence to stop smoking. Next thing you know, you will not be a smoker. I promise you, visuals are so important. Even to the point of, fellas, setting up your home screen to be aligned with everything that you need to do, and anything that's not aligned with that, getting it the fuck out of there. Why do you have Instagram on your home screen and you're not the man that you want to be? Why do you have Twitter on your home screen and you're not the man you want to be? Why do you have Safari on your home screen and you're not the man you want to be? Right? Why isn't My Fitness Pal on there? Why isn't your Notes app on there? Why isn't the Notion app on there? Right? Why isn't your Opal widget on there? Create your home screen, which is something I help you with if you're in the elite, right? That you visually see every time you open your phone. Okay, cool. This is what I got to do. You could even take it a step further, fellas. If I look in my fucking room, I got a poster of a Lamborghini, right? I got another poster of a Lamborghini, right? I got a whiteboard of all the objectives I wish to obtain. If I look at my screensaver, it says I'm going to make $100K a month. I'm creating a visual environment where it's hard for me to be a fucking dweeb and I can see everything that I'm doing, right? And the issue is that a lot of people have a flawed perception of the progress. A lot of men like to think. We don't want to think, we want to know. You don't know how many times you beat your dick last month. You don't know how many times you went to the gym last month. You don't know how many videos you made last month because you don't keep track, right? Fellas, motherfuckers that don't keep track, they think it's too much. No, it's not too much, brother. You're just not doing enough. So when I'm getting on your ass about tracking your power list, if you're in the elites, brother, it makes all the difference. We don't want to guess on shit. We don't want to think on shit. Thinking, brother, was leaving me a dweeb. Skinny, broke, depressed, hating what I see in the mirror. Chicks was playing me to the left, wasn't shit. That's what thinking was doing. I don't want to think, I want to know. I don't want to lie to myself. You can't lie to yourself. When you look at that motherfucking power list, it's a direct correlation with what are you aligning with what the fuck you said you're going to do, right? Next is this chapter talks about, motivation can be, vital if you use it correctly, right? So if you're an elite, this is why, during those margins, I have you read the letter to self at specific times. Maybe watch a YouTube video on your lunch break instead of scrolling. Maybe read 5 pages of that motivational book instead of scrolling, right? You shouldn't rely on motivation because motivation is an emotion that comes and goes, but motivation can trajectory you forward to be the man you have to be. Can you imagine a life, fellas, where you were always motivated? Wouldn't that just be like, if you were always motivated, there wouldn't be no 1% Academy. It would be 100% Academy because every man would be a 1%er if you were always motivated. Right. So you can't always be motivated, but there's different margins throughout the day where you can motivate yourself at a specific time where you probably would think dweeb thoughts. right? And this chapter is just talking about the importance of motivation. So what can you do to stay motivated? Don't overconsume content, but consume some educational content. Watch these modules, read 5 pages, read your letter to self, listen to hate, listen to love, right? Me personally, I like to watch videos of motherfuckers driving Lamborghini Urus. That motivates me while I'm eating. I do that. Do it, right? The last thing that this chapter talks about is something that I really, really love is rebound, right? So when successful people fail, fellas, they rebound quickly. Nobody is perfect. Life can mess up a habit streak, but successful people reclaim their habits fast and right away, right? Never miss twice. If you miss one day, get right back on track as soon as possible, because you must understand lost days hurt you more than winning days help you. Let me say that again for the dweebs in the back. Avoiding losses is more important than gaining the wins, right? When I used to shoot free throws, my dad used to always make me like, he used to be like, if you miss 2 in a row, you got to run. It's the same thing with life. Sometimes life will life, fellas. There may be a day where you don't hit everything on your power list. There may be a day where your alarm go off and you don't wake up early. There may be a day where you miss the gym, whatever the case may be. You missed, cool. Don't miss again, right? The first time, it was a mistake. The second time, it was a conscious choice. That's all that says. Nobody's perfect. Everybody messes up and has fuck ups for a day. Don't let that day traject to tomorrow. Does that make sense? Right? So that's what successful people do, and I want you guys to do the same, right? Next, let's get into chapter 17, fellas. Chapter 17 talks about accountability, and this is very similar to what I spoke about, I believe, what was that? That was chapter 14 with the commitment device, fellas. But this is something all of you guys have done, which is basically investing in an accountability partner, right? Which is me if you're an elite, right? Or if you're not an elite, this is your brothers in the community, right? An accountability partner can create an immediate cost to inaction, right? We care deeply about what others think, and we do not want others to have a lesser opinion on us. By human nature, we care what other people think. Not me personally, and you shouldn't, fellas, but most men do. I don't give a fuck what people think, right? Most people. There's actually some people that I respect and I do, like my mom, my dad, people like that. Right. But what this basically chapter was saying is the psychology behind that, and how when you put yourself in an environment or when somebody's holding you accountable, it's more likely for you to stay on task. Right. Which is what all of you done if you're an elite. You realize me telling myself that I'm going to go to the gym every day is not working. I need somebody to be on my fucking ass like my life depends on it. Right. Because I don't want to let them down or myself down anymore. That's very, very important. Right. And you could do that with anything, fellas, like content creation, gym, tracking your macros, cutting out bad habits, cutting out weed, cutting out alcohol, whatever the case may be, brother. It's very important to do accountability. A lot of times as men, we have ego and pride. We think we can do everything ourselves, brother. Shaq had Kobe. Mike had Scotty. Drake had Wayne. You need people, brother, right? That's what this chapter talks about, right? It takes 2 batteries to charge a remote, not 1, you fucking dweeb, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 18. And chapter 18 talks a lot about purpose, right? So it gives a kind of a different, particular view on it than what you guys have probably heard me talk about in the past. But it is facts. And I should speak on it more, but it says the secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition, right? This is the same with habits. Habits are easy to perform when they align with your natural inclinations and abilities. So what this basically means, fellas, is that if you truly want to be great, selecting the right place to focus is crucial, right? The more that you master a specific skill, the harder it is for others to compete with you. The more productive it's more productive to focus on whether you are fulfilling your own potential than comparing yourself to anyone else, right? So I'll start with the purpose for a second, right? So what this basically is saying, fellas, is that you want to choose a purpose that you have natural skills in, that like I can speak really well and I'm jacked. So like I'm in the perfect vehicle. If you like to talk to people, maybe real estate is good for you because you're going to be doing a lot of cold calling. If you're very good with fashion, maybe you should do e-commerce, right? So this basically just tells you when it comes to your purpose, you want to align yourself with your skill set, something that you're already good at, which is one side of the coin. But I would even take it a step further, fellas, with my ideologies, with choosing your purpose. You also want to make sure that it's something that you love to do, that doesn't feel like work, that you can monetize for the rest of your life. But you also want to consider how much pain you can sustain with that specific vehicle. Like me, I tried music. I love music even more than what I do now, but I couldn't sustain the pain with it. I couldn't sustain that my friends would support me. I couldn't sustain that this music video might get low views. I couldn't sustain that my streams would be low over X amount of time. I couldn't sustain that I'd be with a chick and maybe she not like my music. I couldn't sustain the pain with it. This is the perfect vehicle for me, right, fellas? I don't give a fuck what they saying in the YouTube comments. I don't give a fuck what my friends, if my friends and family send on my videos, it doesn't bother me. That's another inclination that you align with your purpose, right? Next, it gets into comparison. So people say comparison is the thief of joy. This chapter talks about is that until you work as hard as those you admire, don't explain why their success is lucky, right? Brother, I can assure you, whatever the fuck you think it takes, brother, to be the man that you have to be, or whatever the fuck you think it takes that for me to get to where I'm at, or anybody that you aspire to be like in a specific realm, I can assure you it takes so much more. Stop comparing yourself to these individuals and stop being envious of these individuals, because, brother, all life is, if somebody's better than you in a specific realm, they just went through a lot more pain than you. They perfected their craft. They say no to a lot of shit that you said yes to. They went through their season of no. They isolated to elevated. They invested when you was looking at that price, right? So if you're going to compare yourself, be like, make sure it's with respect. Like, damn, this motherfucker did a lot of shit that I failed to do. Let me put in the fucking work to do so. You're not special. Why do you think you're the only motherfucker that failed at a business? Why do you think you're the only motherfucker that weight is heavy? Why do you think you're the only motherfucker that don't want to eat chicken and rice for X amount of days? You're not. Somebody else did it, and that's why they're exceptional, and you're fucking not. So if you're going to compare yourself to those individuals, understand the amount of work that it took for them to get there, and they bleed shit and pee just like you. That's what I think. When I see a motherfucker better than me, fellas, I think, okay, cool, they bleed shit and pee just like me. I'm a competitive motherfucker with my inputs. I know if they worked hard and got that result, I could do the same shit, because I'm continuously pushing myself to limits as a man. You can do the same, but you must understand that, right? Ain't shit sweet with chasing this 1%, brother. So keep that in mind when you're comparing yourself, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 19. Fellas, chapter 19 gives a lot of good game, right? So chapter 19, it talks about the Goldilocks rule, fellas. And what this is that it speaks about that, human experience peak motivation when working on a task that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. The way to maintain motivation and achieve peak levels of desire is to work on a task just above manageable difficulty. So let me give you an example. An example is this: is if you're an elite, we increase weight just a little bit every 4 to 8 weeks, depending upon those failure reps. That increasing a little bit is going to keep you maintaining motivation. I think about it with me with YouTube videos, man. I started off with 10-minute videos, and then I increased it a little bit to 12. That's how I maintain that motivation. A lot of times, you don't let your competitive nature as a man set you. It means this, fellas, like, don't eat more than you can chew initially. You want to standardize before you optimize, which is what I'm going to get into with starting small, right? But with doing so, fellas, just increase a little bit over time. You want to wake up early, wake up at 7 for 3 months, to wake up at 6:30 for the next 3, to wake up at 6 for the next 3, right? That's what the Goldilocks rule talks about, right? Next, start small, fellas. You guys always hear me say standardize before you optimize. Don't worry about, oh, what's the gym split? Nigga, just show up to the fucking gym. Don't worry about what's the best diet. Can you track your macros for 2 weeks? Don't worry about what's the when do I need to get a deep work timer and a sleeping mask and track my sleep? Brother, just go to sleep on time and do some deep work, you fucking dweeb. Start small. Standardize before you optimize, right? With starting a new habit, it's important to make it as easy as possible so you can stick with it when the conditions aren't perfect. And once it's established, it's important to advance in the small ways. So if you're an elite, sometimes guys will join the elite and they like, I want to have this on my power list. I want to have that on my power list. No, brother, we need to build the momentum with the small things first. We need to standardize first. That's not me saying pushing you to be a dweeb. That's me moving smart, right? You guys always hear me speak about working hard. You have to work smart as well. Because once you stack those wins, it's going to build all the momentum to lead me to my next point, which creates a flow state. A flow state can be with a long term or short term, right? You hear people speak about it a lot within the short term. Like for short term, it's like when you're in the zone and fully immersed in the activity, right? So the only way to get in the flow state, fellas, is to get better with reps, have no distractions, and perfect the craft. Like right now, I'm in a flow state. I'm not really thinking when I'm talking. Everything is just flowing naturally, and I'm in my fucking bag. I'm in a flow state. But how did I get to this flow state? I continuously worked on scripting. I continuously worked on talking in front of that whiteboard. I continuously worked on getting in front of that camera. Another flow state for me is when I'm in the fucking gym. I'm not really thinking. I'm just pushing the weight. Why? Because I showed up for X amount of days for 9 months, and I got the results that I have now. Why can LeBron just do a spin move and then a no-look pass, not even thinking about it? Because he's done it so many times. He's put in the reps. Why can Drake go in the studio and then like he might freestyle a verse? Because he's done it so many fucking times. The only way to get a consistent flow state is to put in the fucking reps, right? That's all that this chapter talks about. But one of the biggest takeaways I got from this chapter is the importance of boredom, right? Successful people feel the same lack of motivation as everybody else. The difference is they still find a way to show up despite the feeling of boredom, right? The issue that I see with a lot of guys, especially if I'm helping you with like coaching or content creation, is that you try to switch things up too soon when the simple, small things are working. And it's actually the same with the gym as well. Crowd, when we gonna switch up the split? Brother, this split is gonna get you the results. It's nothing to switch, right? It's nothing to switch at all. Kareem wasn't thinking, I got to do a new trick shot. No, motherfuckers can't stop this hook shot. I'm going to keep using it. Right? Period. this whiteboard is working. I'm going to keep making whiteboard videos. Right? The most successful individuals that can continuously do the boring tasks. We're not chicks and kids. You can't want to switch some shit up every 3 months, every 6 months. Brother, stick with something because it could be working and you just want to switch it because you're bored. Don't. Perfect the craft. Perfect the craft. Mike didn't say, oh, these workouts with Tim Grover are boring. I need a new trainer. No, we stuck with Tim Grover. Right? Do the boring tasks and perfect them, brother. And I promise you, you will be exceptional. Right? If you only do the work when it's convenient or exciting, you'll never be able to achieve remarkable success, right? Successful people stick to schedules and routines. Unsuccessful people make excuses and life get in the way. The greatest threat to success is not failure, it's boredom, right? This is why people switch business ideas, switch gym splits, like I just said. Don't! Stick with it, you fucking dweeb. Be patient, right? All right, fellas, in this last chapter, it talks about the importance of mastery and reflection, right? And how it breaks down mastery, fellas, is that mastery is habits and deliberate patience. So everything I've been talking about from a habit standpoint in this module, combined with everything I've been telling you about delayed gratification and patience, is how you will master your craft. Whether it's gym, mindset, spiritually, emotionally, in whatever realm. The only way to master it is continually do habits and have patience with the output. Right? Period. Brother, Kanye West was making beats for years before motherfuckers respected him as a rapper. Elon Musk was working 12-hour days for, I want to say 15 plus years before some shit hit. Same with Jeff Bezos. My mentor was in the trenches driving an Acura for a year and a half before he was able to get a Lamborghini Urus. He kept doing those habits and delayed his gratification to become the man that he had to be. That is mastery, right? But within mastery, or another way to, have mastery is to have reflection, right? We must create self-evaluation and reflection. Without this, we can make excuses, create rationalizations, and lie to yourself. This is why, fellas, I have the monthly analysis and the powerless completion rate. So you can reflect over the course of 3 to 6 months and be like, I did what I was supposed to do 75% of the time. I did what I was supposed to do 80% of the time. I did what I was supposed to do 90% of the time. And if the calculation is low, why was it low, right? Like for me, as better as I've gotten at not scrolling, I found myself midday after the gym, I would scroll. And I had to do some self-reflection and figure out why that is. Why don't you put a fucking Opal block there, you dweeb? I did it, right? Same thing with how I feel when I do the high leverage task on a day I didn't feel like it versus the day that I do, right? I recommend journaling every single night, writing those thoughts down, having a reflection. So when that day happens again, you realize the last time I didn't feel like doing it, and then I journaled about it, I felt like shit. So let me make sure this time when I don't feel like doing it, I do it so I can win that battle when I'm journaling. That is reflection, brother. The issue is a lot of guys don't think to reflect till January 1st. Don't be a lot of guys, right? Have reflection every day with looking at that power list, making sure everything is checked. Have reflection every week with looking at that motherfucking weekly analysis. And have reflection every month by looking at that fucking monthly analysis. And it'll be impossible for you to fail. And with self-reflection, how I mentioned, you want to cut out the shit that was trajecting you to be a dweeb. You also want to implement new shit that may project you forward to be a 1% man, right? Maybe you need to wake up a little bit earlier, seek more pain. Maybe you need to increase that weight at the gym. Maybe you need to do more deep work hours. But you're not going to know that unless you have self-reflection, fellas. Right. So this is the end of the Atomic Habits module, fellas. Again, this is the number 1 book I recommend for all my guys, man. And one thing I want to express to you guys is the importance of repetition. Right. There was a point in time, fellas, where I used to watch a specific Andrew Tate video every single day when I was like in the midst of my transformation, being the man that I had to be. Even though I knew everything he was going to say, I watched it every single day. Right. Same thing within my mentorship. My mentor, John Mark, speaks about the best coaches. Like he actually said that he did this himself. He said every mentorship I was in, fellas, I watched the modules 2 to 3 times. The importance of repetition is so important. You guys are in here forever. Watch this module as much as you need to. Instead of scrolling, instead of texting that bitch that don't really like you, right? Instead of listening to that toxic ass music, play this again and again and again until it sticks. The reason that I can go in front of a whiteboard and talk for 40 minutes, fellas, is because everything I just expressed to you, I got like a minor script, but most of this stuff is tattooed in my membrane. Why? Because I continuously read it every single day. All right, so that's the end of this module, man. I love you guys. Peace! Yes! Yes, fellas. Welcome to the Way of a Superior Man module, man. This is one of my favorite reads and one of the first books I've ever read. And this is another recommendation from Aman Ghazi, man. When I used to binge watch his content, when he was talking about this book, he mentioned that if he was trying to get a woman to understand him from a book, he would give her this book to read, and how he has done that before. And I've never done that, but especially after working on this module, I definitely would. You know what I'm saying? And what this book basically breaks down, fellas, is a lot of the masculine and feminine imperative, and how to maintain your masculinity, and a lot of the things that women look for within femininity, and how to kind of deal with women in a way while chasing your purpose as a man, and the ups and downs within that, fellas. But I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it, man. So let's start with chapter 1, right? And in chapter 1, it starts with take action now. Do what you need to do now. Do not procrastinate, hoping that one day things will be different. Take action now. You guys always hear me say that procrastination is poison, right? You want to minimize the time when you think of something, and when you put it into action. You said today, yesterday, right? You said this month, last month. You said last year, this year, brother. Something has to give. If there was a door and everything that you wanted was on the other side of the door, the key to the door would be action. A lot of times we push things off thinking we have time. You don't, fellas. I remember when it felt like yesterday was July 4th. It's fucking December 22nd that I'm recording this fucking video, brother. You're running out of time, right? Every moment wasted is waited is a moment wasted, and each wasted moment degrades your clarity of purpose, right? I spoke about this in the Think and Grow Rich module, fellas, but you want to use your imagination. A lot of times, if you don't use your imagination, you'll never use it, right? Unless you use it in that moment. The longer you procrastinate, you just won't do it, bro. You just got to eat the frog and do shit. And that's what this chapter talks about, Rand. And, you only get one life, right? Growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is painful to staying in the same spot. Next, it talks about the bare minimum, fellas. And when I'm speaking on the bare minimum, it's talking about that you should spend at least an hour a day dedicated to your purpose. But this is literally the bare minimum, fellas. Based on the statistics, there's 168 hours in a week. You work for 40, commute for 10, sleep for 56. Then you factor in cleaning, kids, gym, eating, in church. You have at least 2 hours a day to focus on your purpose, right? Period. This is the bare minimum, fellas. The issue is that a lot of men spend that 2 hours indulging in social media, indulging in entertainment, indulging in women, right? Purpose must come first, fellas. You'll lose money chasing these chicks, but you won't lose chicks chasing this money, I can assure you, right? And you don't want to be fucking 60 years old, work for 40 fucking years, take 2 vacations a year, and be an old wrinkled slob, and then retire, and then enjoy your life. But the chick that you have, you're not even attracted to because you couldn't become a man of value and attract the woman that you really wanted to attract, right? Because you wasn't him. Why weren't you him? Because you didn't want to do the bare minimum, maximize your purpose as a man, right? No matter what, I don't know what book this is from, fellas, but you will either work all your life on your purpose or work all your life helping somebody fulfill theirs. You make the motherfucking decision, brother. Now, if you love your 9 to 5, cool, right? But a lot of you guys, based on talking to you, you fucking don't. So figure something out. You have the time, brother. Your purpose must come first, right? Next, we get into chapter 2, right? Chapter 2 talks about heartbreak, right? Which most of us have been through. And what this gives a very unique perspective, and I really agree and respect it a lot, is that a man should live with a hurting heart rather than a closed one. He should learn to stay in the wound of pain and act with skill and love, even from that place, right? With heartbreak and failure, fellas, you don't want to let one bad apple mess up the whole tree. Just because you touched the stove when you were a kid and it's hot doesn't mean when you an adult, you never gonna cook again, right? Don't let one chick just fuck up your ideology of women for the rest of your life, right? Now, we'll be honest, on the other side of the coin of that, in today's generation, fellas, most women aren't shit. Let's just be very honest. But that's why it's so important to build yourself up as a man so you can attract higher quality women, right? But within that, typically with heartbreak, fellas, my ideology of it is that when you go through heartbreak, you're just not the man that you have to be, because the chick's not playing you if you're him. Period. She's not. Because when you're him, you're rare. You're a 1% man. She's not going to be able to replace you. So she's going to act accordingly, right? So all this says is when you go through the heartbreak, when you go through the obstacles, when you go through the failure with women, don't let one bad apple spoil the tree. Don't meet your next chick and be damaged and be doing all of that dweeb shit. Don't do that, right? The strongest man is a man who can operate with enthusiasm and love despite the ups and downs. You do this, you will outperform any man in any realm. That is facts, right? Next, it talks about confrontation, right? And with confrontation, fellas, You want to just look motherfuckers in their eyes. Don't shy away. The superior man must feel the entire situation with their whole body. Do not withdraw or hide emotion. Don't be a bitch, right? So when I used to like get in trouble with like not get in trouble, but like do some dumb shit in basketball practice or like get a bad grade in school. Like when I got home or when I was around my coach, you guys always hear me say that, like I went through the darkest times of my life with my dad and my high school coach. Like they were the toughest individuals on me as a young man, but I'm extremely grateful for them because all of the trials and tribulations they put me through molded me into the man I am today. That's why really nothing can fucking shake me, right? But within doing so, a lot of times when I, was dealing with conflict and confrontation with them, I would never look them in their eye, or I would shy away, or I would try to procrastinate the conversation that I had to have with these individuals. And what this is saying, like, don't do that, right? Like, own up to your wrongs as a man. Stand on your mistakes. Don't shy away from confrontation or conversations. Only weak men do that. Don't run towards your or away from your problems, fellas. Run towards them, right? Because you got to think, like, worst case scenario. What's the worst? What can happen? Like, what they gonna do? Send me to jail? What my dad gonna do? Beat my ass? Then what? What my coach gonna do? Maybe run? Then what? Sit me on the bench? Then what? I'm not gonna fucking die. Like, what's the worst that can happen? So a lot of times the uncomfortable conversations and shit that you're avoiding, brother, just confront it and be a fucking man. That's what this chapter talks about, right? Next, we get into chapter 3. And chapter 3 is one of my favorite chapters. It talks about taking responsibility, fellas, right? Live as if, and it speaks about doing this, like living as if your father were dead, right? Now, stick with me, fellas. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but what it speaks about is a man must love his father and yet be free of his father's expectations or criticisms in order to be a free man. What this basically means is no one is coming to save you, fellas. Like when you live as if your father is not alive, you're not waiting for guidance, permission, or rescue, and you take responsibility. Like my dad is the pure definition of this. Like obviously my father is still alive, but like my father was so like his parenting style was so figure it out yourself and be independent. Like even when I was in college, I was a broke college student. I used to ask my dad for money like that. And he said my money, he like, nigga, figure it out. I'm like, dude, I'm playing basketball. He's like, figure it out, get a job. Right. And I ended up getting one. I remember I was working at UPS. I remember I was working at the front desk, but although I don't fucking work at UPS and at the front desk now, that just taught me the importance of work ethic, the importance of responsibility. Like as a man, you come in this world alone, you're gonna die alone. We're not chicks and kids, fellas. We don't come into the world with any value. You have to create your value as a man. Literally, nobody is coming to save you at all. Like you are the authority now. You make the decisions. You own the consequences. Blaming your parents, your teachers, and your friends and your chicks for your circumstances, don't do anything. You can't control if it rains outside, but you can bring a motherfucking umbrella. I'm gonna continue to say it. You cannot control the cards you are dealt, but you must make the most out of them. Because somebody else had your situation or worse, another man had your situation or the same and they made a fucking way. Why the fuck can't you? I think of it like this. When I look at these 1% individuals, the fucking LeBron James grew up without a father, grew up poor. He made it out. Why the fuck can't you? Yeah, you're not 6'9" and can't run a fucking 4.140, right? But you're not trying to be an NBA player. You're trying to maximize your purpose. Be the LeBron with your purpose, brother. Circumstances aren't always going to be perfect. You got to make the most out of them. And part of that is taking responsibility for where you are, right? And even if you don't have a father, fellas, always know as a man, it's just you. You have to figure it out by yourself. Again, we're not chicks and kids, right? Next, we get into chapter 4. And chapter 4 talks a lot about facing your fears, right? So be aware of your fears and do everything to overcome them. Say them out loud and attack them. Fellas, I want you to experience your fears day by day. I want you to live in your motherfucking comfort zone. I want you to hate happiness. I want you to seek pain every single day. That is the only way to grow. Growth is painful. Change is painful. But nothing is more painful to stand in the same fucking spot. You must find comfortability in being uncomfortable, aka taking action within your fears. Right? Everything that you want is on the other side of fear, fellas. Fear is just false evidence appearing real. Right? Winners and losers both fear, but the winners double down on it, brother. And 9 times out of 10, whatever you're afraid to do, 9 times out of 10, you need to do it, fellas. Right? You need to do it. Fellas, if I didn't overcome my fears, you wouldn't be watching this module. You wouldn't know who the fuck Crow was. You wouldn't. I was very scared to invest my last into John's mentorship. I was very scared to pick up a camera and be vulnerable on YouTube. I was scared to do that. Then once it got to the point where I had to duplicate the same vulnerability I had on YouTube, on Instagram, holy shit, was that scary, right? I had all the chicks on there, man. I had my family on there. Like, at least with YouTube, it was like, holy shit, I got a fresh slate. I had to overcome that fear. Something I don't talk about enough, right? And I just had to realize, like, yo, I'm treating this Instagram as a business page. I'm not trying to get chicks. I have to maximize my purpose within this. Yeah, it's scary, but when it's scary to jump in that motherfucker, you got to jump in. Otherwise, you'll stay in the same place. Mediocre people, one thing they have in common, they're all fearful dweebs. Don't let it be you, right? Next, it talks about chapter 5. This is one of my favorite chapters, fellas. And it talks about being selfish, fellas. You must always put yourself first. You yourself at the core should always be the number one priority. I'm going to continue to say it when you on a motherfucking airplane and the airplane is crashing, they tell you to put your mask on first, brother, and then help somebody else. It is the same thing in your life. You want to be a 1% people pleaser. You want to be a 1% friend. You want to be a 1% boyfriend. You want to be a 1% 9-to-5 employee, but you're not a 1% you. You're not. You can't be the best dad, husband, and friend if you're not the best you. Fellas, you have to be an exceptional man so you can provide an exceptional life for those around you. I'm going to continue to say it. Once you sign that contract to be a 1% man, fellas, it's not about you at all. It's not. Success is not about what you obtain. It's about how much pain you can sustain. You must maintain suffering so that your family doesn't have to suffer. Very similar to what Jesus did. He died on the cross for our sins so we didn't have to. You must do the same. Yeah, you're not dying on the cross, fellas, but you must be in the trenches for years and years and years and become exceptional at your craft and leave a legacy, right? And either solve a shit ton of problems or be very, very skilled at something. For an example, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos solve a shit ton of problems. LeBron James and Drake have perfected their craft. One of those two things, but within doing so, those individuals had to be extremely selfish. I hear LeBron talk about it all the time, and Drake, right? LeBron continuously gives credit to his wife because he says, I don't know a woman that would be able to deal with just me putting my grind first. And Drake speaks about it from the opposite light. He says, one of the main reasons I'm single is because I can't find a woman that could just ride in the passenger seat with me on the road to success. I love my work and I love my routine. Anything that's getting in the way with that probably isn't going to work. They understand that they have to be selfish, right? You must do the same. Chapter 6 kind of piggybacks on that a little bit, fellas. And the first, aspect that chapter 6 talks about, fellas, is putting purpose over your woman, right? A man should never portray his deepest knowledge and intuition in order to please a woman. This will weaken you and her and allow you both to grow to resent each other, right? You are weakening her trust in you when you do this. Fellas, I made this mistake, right? With my ex, right? I don't like to point the finger, but I'm just telling you guys what the fuck happened. So, when I met my ex, man, she kind of love bombed me, fellas. Like, shorty was fucking me, sucking me, took me out of the country like 3 months into our relationship, like just love bombing me. Why she was doing that, I'm not going to get into that. That's a story for a different day. If you want to know why, go watch my YouTube shit, man. But all in all, like, she was love bombing me, fellas, and I've never been love bombed before. So I was a dweeb. So, a couple of the things that she wanted very fast was a kid and to move together, right? Obviously, I didn't fold with the kid, fellas. I don't have no kids, but I folded with moving with her, right? I knew deep down in my soul, obviously she moved with me, technically, fellas. I was paying the rent, but I knew deep in my soul, fellas, like, I do not want to live with a chick. I do not want to live with people. I'm a very isolated person. I know that in my YouTubes and my modules, and if you're in the elite and the one-on-ones, I come off as this outgoing person, but I'm selectively outgoing, guys. Like, I think that's the reason why I've been able to make the progress I've made since I've been like dialed in, is because like I enjoy being isolated and alone. I really don't like being around motherfuckers. So like me knowing that, I still folded due to the love battle and let her, live with me. Right. And it was one of the worst decisions I ever made. I was in one of the darkest times of my life when I was living with this woman for multiple reasons. Right. All I'm saying, fellas, is that if I would have stood on morals and principles as a man and put myself first and put my intuition first, I would have never experienced those dark times, right? Women want men to lead. I was failing to do that. I let her walk all over me and convince me into doing that. Don't make the same mistake I did, right? This chapter also talks about standing on your decisions, right? If you give up your decision to follow a woman, you will blame her if she is wrong, when you will feel disempowered if she is right. One of the best things you can do to a woman is indirectly cause friction by standing on your decisions. In the moment, it will be friction, but long term, she will respect it. This is facts, fellas. One of the best things you can do is indirectly like diss a chick. Like, this is why, like, this is one of the biggest misconceptions of nice guys. Nice guys think they have to do everything right for a chick to like them, when in reality, your rough edges and you like saying baby no, or like that's chalk, she's very attracted to that fella. I know it sounds ass backwards. Like, in the moment, she might catch an attitude. In the moment, she might want to go home. In the moment, she might not text you back. In the moment, she might need some space. But I can tell you, long term, she gains a sense of respect for you because you standing on your morals and principles as a man, and she knows she can't sway you. Right. And especially if the chick is bad, bro, not swaying men. So the fact that you're different, you're rare, you're a 1%er in that realm, that stands out. Right. That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into chapter 7. Right. And chapter 7, I labeled it, the leading thesis, kryptonite. And what this chapter talks about, fellas, is that every man knows that his highest purpose in life cannot be reduced to a particular relationship. A man who puts his woman over his purpose is a weak man. I'm gonna continue to say it this whole fucking module. You will lose money chasing these chicks, but you won't lose these chicks chasing money. It's just a fact. The mistake a lot of men make, fellas, is they do all this work to become a 1% man, right? They start hitting the gym, they maximize their income, they maximize their mindset, they maximize their business, they maximize their relationship with God, the character on point, the charisma on point, the combat on point. They checking every single C. But once they get with this chick, they get content. I'm gonna continue to say, fellas, once you get with a chick, you gotta take shit up. Right? Because it's so easy to get content. You got consistent sex. You got consistent food. You got that great feminine energy around you. Right? It's very easy to put your purpose on the back burner. But what you're not understanding, fellas, you being a 1% man and putting your purpose first is what attracted her to you in the first place. So you will be ignorant to stop doing that. You will be ignorant to stop doing that. Right? Period. Because one thing you must understand, women will always choose the best option. Women are hypergamous. What does that mean, fellas? Back in the day when we were cavemen, fellas, they wanted the men that was the strongest, that could kill everybody to protect her and her kids. Yeah, we're not cavemen, brother. But it's the same thing now. They want the best man they can get. And when you don't put your purpose first, fellas, when you don't put the gym first no more, when you stop eating, healthy, whole food, tracking your macros, drinking water, once you get with these chicks, fellas, you're going to fall the fuck off. And then she's going to be like, damn, like what happened to the nigga that I met? Right? It literally makes no sense. Like women want all this time and attention, but the time and attention that you're going to give them is to sway you away from your purpose. So then you become a dweeb. It's a rat race. What I'm trying to tell you is I'd rather you deal with the friction of putting your purpose first and she need a little bit more time and attention than deal with the friction of, damn, I'm a mediocre dweeb and I'm giving you all this time and attention. You got to choose your pain. I'd rather go with the pain of putting my purpose first and she a little mad because I'm not communicating the best or we ain't spent time in about a week. Deal with that pain, brother. That's a way better pain than giving her all the attention in the world. Now you're a fat fuck and you're broke because you stopped putting your purpose first. Period. Right? And a lot of times, fellas, you think women want all these attention, but they really don't, man. Too much attention is unattractive. Too much circulation makes the price go down. What's your favorite ice cream? Think about it. My favorite is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. If I had Reese's Peanut Butter Cup ice cream every single day, it would not be as good as the first time that I had it. That's how women are with attention, fellas. If you constantly up under a woman's ass, brother, she gets used to it. Same if you give her flowers every day. Same if you sell her good morning every day. Same if you send her paragraphs every single day. First couple of times, she'll love it. Maybe even for a couple of months, she'll love it. But after a while, it'll become the normality. And then it's like, oh, this nigga always do that. Right? So put your purpose first, fellas, at all times. This is a mistake I used to make as a young man, and I regret it. I would, fellas, I say this humbly so, if I would have knew exactly what I just told you, not even knew, if I would have applied it exactly what I just told you when I was like 20, 21, whether at 22, I would be farther than where I'm at right now. I promise you, right? Next, we get into chapter 8. Chapter 8 talks about slight discomfort, right? To push past your edge. So this chapter talks about to go slightly past your edge of fear and discomfort in everything that you do. And the first thing that pops to mind, fellas, is from the Atomic Habits module, the Goldilocks rule. It speaks about going slight past your edge daily to experience peak motivation, right? But what this chapter talks about is that your edge moves as you move. So the challenges today will be easier later, and then a new edge appears, and that's the new path, right? Life as a man is continuous improvement. That's why you see, like, LeBron is a perfect example of this, fellas. Like, LeBron played in a league where, like, there was a true center and power forward. He played in a league where, of super teams. He played in a league where it was a 5-out offense, and he played in a league where he didn't have his athleticism and he had to rely on his jump shot, which is right now, right? He continuously improved and sharpened his sword as a man and found a new edge, found a new challenge. That's why you see like these billionaires like keep seeking more. You're like, why the fuck do they want more? This is why. Right? They're continuously seeking a new path, brother. On this journey to be a 1% man, and I think this is something I don't speak enough about on YouTube. You never get to a point like you always chasing more. Now, you may get to a point where you have a wife and a kids and, your priorities change. But the hunger, once you're really dialed in, it never really goes away. You're going to be chasing something new. You must accept that and accept slight discomfort within that. Like, once I make 100K a month, drop a living earnings, retire my mom, and check 1,000 men's lives, what I'm gonna be like, what's next? Looking for the new challenge. You must do the same, fellas. That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into chapter 9, right? And this chapter talks about passion, right? Attack the world with your gifts. Every man has a God-given gift. It's just a matter of if you will use it or not. right? Every man has potential. It's just a matter of you will live up to it, right? In some way, shape, or form, fellas, God gave you some type of talent. Now, maybe you haven't went through the trial and errors to figure what that is yet, right? But every man has it. Every man has it, right? You have to embrace that, right? Because if you don't, the world will drift you. You'll just be wherever the world throws you, it'll throw you. You'll literally have no life, no purpose as a man. Like, you have a passion. Only you know what the fuck it is. You must chase that, but not just chase that, understand the pain and be able to sustain that within that purpose. Every man has it. That's what this book talks about, right? And it also talks about, within passion, act from love, not fear or obligation. Your work, mission, and gifts should flow from a place of authentic love, not trying to please or avoid judgment. Stop caring what other people think, fellas. Don't try to break generational curses trying to please a generation that is cursed. These motherfuckers will not pay your bills, retire your mom, or speak at your motherfucking funeral, brother. They don't fucking matter. That's another thing this chapter talks about, and it kind of piggybacks right into chapter 10, which goes a little bit more in depth. Fellas, don't be sensitive when receiving criticism, especially from those above you or on the same journey with you. Don't take constructive criticism personally, right? Like, friends, mentors, or peers pointing out your flaws are helping you grow, not tearing you down, right? You must use criticism as a tool for improvement. I'm going to keep using LeBron James as an example. After the Dallas Mavericks series, he's admitted it plenty of times, like, he folded. Even after the first San Antonio series when he was in Cleveland, like, they exposed that he couldn't shoot. He came back with a jumper, right? The Dallas Mav series, it basically exposed he didn't have that killer instinct. After that, LeBron became a killer, right? So sometimes you have to use the criticism as fuel, but be selective with it, man. Like, don't take criticism from motherfuckers that are dweebs and have no clue what you're trying to accomplish as a man. Do not take criticism from them, but everybody else, like people that are better than you or people on the same level as you, absolutely, right? Learning from criticism accelerates the mastery of yourself, your work, and your relationships. Separate ego from growth. Your pride is natural, but if it blocks feedback, you stay stuck. Right. So always taking criticism, fellas, with a grain of salt and, apply it to be the man that you have to be. Right. Next, we get into chapter 11, one of my favorite chapters. And this chapter talks about alignment. Right. Everything in your life must be aligned with your purpose. Right. You must discipline your life so that you can support your purpose and minimize distraction and detours. Fellas, everything in your life, whether it's the people, the places, like the jobs, the habits, the foods, they must align with the man that you have to be. Everything must make sense, right? Life flies the fuck by. Anything that is not going to point to the 1% version of you, you have to cut it off. People, vices, habits, environment, they all must go. Fellas, I'm going to continue to say it. Disciplined individuals are the individuals that need to use it the least. Right now, fellas, it's fucking 9:46. Like, I'm supposed to be asleep right now, but I said I was getting this module done tonight. I don't really have to use my discipline, fellas. I don't have no chicks. I don't have no distractions. I live by myself. My phone's on D&D. I'm aligned. Everything makes sense. I've created an environment where it's very easy to do the high level tasks that I must do. You must do the same, right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we'll get into chapter 12, man, one of my favorite chapters. And it talks about basically, fellas, to go all in, give 100% effort. A man must be prepared to give 100% effort to his purpose and then go after that specific form of living. Energy flows where attention goes. Let me say it again for the dweebs in the back. Energy flows where attention goes. So you wonder why. Maybe you're watching this, or maybe you know somebody around you that they're a fucking dweeb. You want to know why? Because their energy goes into dweeb shit. They know everything about every sports team. They know everything about social media. They know everything about Love Island and Power. They know everything about the fucking news, but they don't know shit about themselves and the objectives that they wish to obtain because their intention is fucked, right? If you're in the elite, that is why I have you read the list of hate, list of love at certain times. Read the letter to self at certain times. Follow the Google Calendar. Look at that motherfucking power list. Continuously listen to these modules and read books because when that's all you're focused on, when that's all your attention goes to, how the fuck can you not be aligned? Your life is a product of your actions. Your actions are a product of your thoughts, and your thoughts are a product of what the fuck you consume. Your attention is what you consume. What are you giving your attention to, fellas, on a day-to-day basis? And I can guarantee you it's a linear, parallel reflection to your fucking life, right? Show up fully. Don't do things half-heartedly, whether it's work, a conversation, or a relationship. Give 100% effort. You get in what you put out in this motherfucking life. We all get 24 hours. You must make the most of them, right? I've never seen an individual give their all and not hit. I'm going to continue to say that, fellas. And I've also never seen an individual or myself do more and regret it. Just do more. Go all in. You can't half-ass anything that you do in this life. If you want to be exceptional, if you just want to be a dweeb, keep doing dweeb shit. Keep half-assing shit. Go ahead. You will never be able to compete with a motherfucker like me that's giving it all. Ever. I promise you. Right? Next, we'll get into chapter 13, right? And, it kind of falls back into the relationship aspect of this book. And it speaks about quality over quantity, right? A man who is rarely present, full of love, and sure of his mission will affect others more positively than a man who is always present but has lost touch with his deepest purpose. Andrew Tate gave a great analogy about this on a podcast that I watched a very long time ago. And he basically said a man that is dedicated to his purpose and rarely available is more valuable than a man that is not dedicated to his purpose but is always there, right? Because you have to think about it like this. As men, our main thing, let's say it's me and my wife. As the husband, my main job is to lead, protect, and provide. If I'm not aligned with my purpose, I cannot lead, protect, and provide, right? My wife's job is to be caring and nurturing and raise the kids. We both have our roles, right? What Andrew Tate is saying is that if you're a man or a husband that's not really home that much, but you're still holding the household down and providing, that is more valuable than a man that is always present, but your kid goes to a mediocre school. You live in a mediocre environment, right? If you get laid off, your family is fucked, right? That's the worst life to live as a man, right? So when being a man, if you're not selfish, everyone else will suffer at the end, right? For instance, fellas, like I'm not a husband right now. I don't know what the fuck wrong with my chest. I'm not a husband right now, fellas, but like I'm sacrificing everything, not only for my future wife and kids, but for my family right now. It's currently December 22nd, fellas, and everybody else is with their family on Christmas and New Year's, and you see where the fuck I'm at. I'm in the motherfucking dungeon trying to perfect my craft and be the best man that I can be because I understand something has to give. To get what most don't have, you must do what most won't do. I've sacrificed I've celebrated these holidays every fucking year, yet I wasn't the man that I had to be. So I can sacrifice this one to make sure that next Christmas I can give every single family member a band. I can take my mom out the country if I wish to. Take my dad out the country if I wish to. If I have a wife and kid at that time, I'll be able to provide them experiences. You must do the same or don't and remain mediocre. It doesn't make me a fucking difference. Check, check. All right, fellas. Next, we get into chapter 14, right? Chapter 14 talks about self-awareness, right? So what this chapter basically talks about, fellas, is to always be present in the moment. If you forget your larger purpose while pursuing the small, endless task of your daily life, then you will have reduced yourself into a machine. Always have clarity to make sure that your daily tasks align with your deeper purpose, right? This is why I always tell you guys to be careful on what you consume, because like a lot of people think they like motivation and discipline when really they just like clarity. You don't know why you're going to the gym. You don't know why you're doing deep work. You don't know why you're reading from 5 pages, right? It was, what is the quote that I just heard from Alex Ramosi? You don't need more information. You need to be reminded of the information you already know. It was something along those lines, fellas. And that's a bar. And that's what clarity is and self-awareness is, fellas. A lot of times, like, you will go to the gym for 90 days straight and then you'll want to like be a dweeb with the gym, brother. You forgot that your dick can't get up. You forgot that you're a fat fuck. You forgot that you can't attract the quality chicks that you wish to acquire. Fellas, that's why I have y'all read those resources if you're an elite. So you're continuously self-aware. You know at all times what you're running towards and what you're running the fuck away from. Right? That's what this chapter talks about, right? You want to create an environment, not only digitally and physically, that makes it easy to do the highest leverage task on a day-to-day basis. Right? And you must have clarity within doing so. Right? Next, we get into chapter 15. And chapter 15 talks about shit tests, man. For those that don't know what shit tests are, it's basically when a woman try to test your masculinity a little bit, right? And what this chapter talks about, fellas, is that women will always test you. Like, don't look for it to go away. Accept it and understand that she does this to feel your strength and integrity. One of the woman's deepest forms of pleasure and intimacy is testing a man. Like, deep down, a woman wants to feel that she cannot move you because of who you are with or without her, right? And some examples of shit tests, fellas, that women like to do, especially if you're in the dating stage, man. Now, if you're dealing with this in a relationship, it's really the same, honestly. You know, whether you date in a relationship, you got to deal with it the same way, fellas. But examples are like, if she texting back slow, if she canceled a date, if she's talking about like a male best friend trying to see if you'll get jealous. Like those are all examples of shit tests. And what this chapter talks about is like, first and foremost, you must understand that that's what comes with women. Women are going to do that. Secondly, you must hold frame with the handling them. Don't ever let a woman get a crazy ass reaction over you. One or two, don't let her walk all over you. Like if she flakes a date or texts back slow, like don't accept that as a man. You know what I'm saying? Because women will do what you allow them to. They will run the fuck all over you if you let them. This chapter tells you to always remain calm and frame and hold your ground within doing so when the shit tests arrive, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 16, right? And chapter 16 talks about prioritizing action over words when it comes to women. Women are emotional creatures, fellas. A man means what he says while a woman says what she feels. A woman's words are her expressions and emotions in the moment. A woman's emotions change often. Fellas, you guys always hear me say that as a man, your emotions don't matter. You must do what you got to do on a day-to-day basis, regardless of how the fuck you feel. Women do not operate within that frame at all. Women can wake up one day, fellas, and just like, if she feel like breaking up with you or catching an attitude, she gonna catch an attitude. All this chapter is talking about is to accept that. A lot of times with this whole ideology and the shit online, like between the wars of men and women, it seems like from the thing I don't like about the Red Pill community, I do agree with most of what they say, but it's like they expect women to be men. Biologically, physically, and cognitively, we are two different creatures. And that's what this chapter is talking about. Accept that women are emotional creatures, right? Period, right? Next, we get into chapter 17, right? And chapter 17 talks about validation, right? So this chapter gives a good quote, fellas. A man grows by challenge and a woman grows by praise, right? So when dealing with women, fellas, it literally gives an example. You're so beautiful when you smile is so much better than you're so ugly when you frown. Women grow with validation versus criticism, and men grow with criticism versus validation. That's just what it is. This is a mistake I can say that I made in my last relationship. I was talking to my chick like I talk to y'all. and that doesn't work, fellas. That's literally why I don't have that 1% Academy is not for women, fellas, because like women perform in a whole nother realm in regards to criticism, right? Like you have to pick women up, right? You can't put them down too much. Now, at the same time, fellas, I want you to take this with a grain of salt because you don't want to give too many compliments all the time. Like I just told you, too much circulation makes the price go down, right? If you eat, again, the ice cream analogy, if you consider to eat your favorite ice cream every day, eventually you get tired of it. You don't want to always be just giving your woman praise and compliments for no reason. You want to be very selective with doing so, right? If that's your chick. If it's a girl you're dating, you can do what you want to do, fellas. I don't see, it's very, very rare I just validate crazy like a chick when I'm dating her. Like unless like it's very selective, man. It's hard to be black and white within doing so. Like if she cooks me something and it's good, I tell her it was good if she asks me how it is, you know what I'm saying? But very rarely am I just like texting her like, baby, you're beautiful. Like, nah. Now my girlfriend is a little different, but the chick I'm dating, I'm not doing, right? So take this with a grain of salt, fellas. But all this is saying is that stop like thinking you could talk to your niggas how you can talk to your chick, brother. That's not how they operate, right? Next, we get into chapter 18, right? Chapter 18 talks about never tolerating disrespect from women. Fellas, you should never, ever, ever tolerate disrespect from a woman. You must have the mentality to be able to walk away from a woman at the slightest disrespect. And this is what a lot of men don't have because they pussy whipped. Right? She's sucking that motherfucker, giving you two-hand twist ultimate, and that motherfucker gripping when you hit him from the back. So the moment she disrespects you, you so hung up on the pussy, brother, that you can't walk away. Every chick, I don't care how bad she is, I don't care how feminine she is, I don't care how caring she is, I don't care how much she loves by me, she do. If she disrespects me in any way, shape, or form, I will walk away. Right? Because one thing you got to understand, fellas, is a woman will not disrespect a man that she values. Right? I got a dweeb and I got Chris Brown. Do you think a woman is going to treat Chris Brown how she treats a dweeb? What I'm trying to tell you is that, yeah, you might not be Chris Brown, but she needs to look at you like you are Chris Brown. Because I can assure you right now, these women ain't disrespecting Chris fucking Brown, brother. I promise you, right? Like who likes you. If she don't like you, she got bad taste. A woman that likes you will respect you. Fellas, do not tolerate anything less at all times. I don't care, but don't worry about, I'm going to be lonely, brother. I'd rather be lonely and respected than in a relationship and disrespected 10 times out of 10 times. I hope that you'll do the fucking same, right? Next, we get into chapter 19. Chapter 19 talks about a lot about the mood swings with women, fellas, right? So questioning a woman when she's having mood swings is going to make her feel worse. 90% of a woman's emotional problems stem from feeling unloved, unloved or not, or lacking reassurance, right? Like 9 times out of 10, if your girl got an attitude, fellas, like she don't feel reassured in a relationship, physically, emotionally, or mentally, right? And one thing that I like to do, fellas, man, and I didn't get this from the book. This is just something I picked up on, with my fair share of women. When something's wrong with the woman, never ask her what's wrong. I think I maybe got this from 48 Laws of Power. Never ask her what's wrong. Ask her what's on your mind. Because what's wrong is a trigger. It's like you triggering her to be in defense mode or like think dark. Versus if you ask her what's on her mind, it's creating like an open dialogue of her to be, not more so defensive, but very open and vulnerable with you, right? So all this is saying is, fellas, 9 times out of 10, like when dealing with women, like it could be an argument about, you drunk the last pop. It could be an argument that that the fucking, I don't know, the store didn't have the fucking milk that she wanted, whatever the case may be. In reality, fellas, it's stemming from a previous situation where she didn't feel loved or reassured, I promise you. That's all this chapter talks about, right? Next, we get into chapter 20, and I combine chapters 20 through 22 because they're very similar. And then chapter 21 has its own, but chapter 20 and 22 both talk about solution oriented, right? So one of the deepest feminine desires is a man who can figure it out himself, a man she does not have to guide. As a man, you must take care of everything, brother. Like, even if you don't know, pretend you know. That's one thing I can say. The same way I'll say this is where I could have improved in my last relationship, fellas. I can tell you guys where I was very, very strong. Anytime my chick came to me with something, I always had a solution. My girl could call me about anything, and she gonna call me, and if I don't know, I'm like, hold on, babe, and I'm on Chat GPT figuring it the fuck out. That is one of the most attractive things to women. Women don't want to make any decisions when they're with you, brother. They just want to turn their brain off. That's one thing I laugh about online when I see, but it's really true, fella. Like, women don't want to think when they with you. Like, don't ask her what she wants to eat, what she wants to do. Have everything planned out. They don't want to think at all. Why do you think every time you ask your girl what she want to eat, what you want to do, she say, I don't know? Duh! She wants you to figure it out, brother. Always have everything planned, right? A man that abandons his responsibility by expecting that a woman will always make her own decisions and then be accountable for results is a dweeb man, right? Always give women solutions. Don't respond with, it's up to you, I don't care. Quantify every single decision and always have a solution, brother. It's part of your job as a man to lead, right? Next, we get into chapter 21, right? And chapter 21 talks about holding frame, right? Which is another thing I'm extremely strong at, fellas. One of the deepest feminine pleasures in a man is being unreactive in the midst of her emotional storms, right? So the way that you respond to a woman's chaos reflects how you react to other chaos in the world. So like, if a woman does have a moment where she spazzes out, although I just told you don't deal with disrespect, let's say this is your wife and she's having a bad day. She just start crying, spazzing out, whatever the case may be. Maybe she's not disrespectful. She's just extremely emotional. Let's say you having a bad day as well. In that situation, you want to always hold frame as a man. The way, when you would think I yell at chicks because I'm yell at y'all dweebs and I yell on YouTube, fellas. I don't yell at chicks at all. I'm extremely calm, collective. Because I don't want her to ever think that like she could get under my skin to make me yell at her or get me out of my hookup. You don't never want a woman to think like that she can like, oh, I can do this and he'll get upset. I can say this and he'll get upset. Because she'll do it all the fucking time, fellas. You must fellas, now this is a toxic trait. I don't recommend you do this, but it was certain times in my last relationship. Now this is where I fucked up. We'd be in arguments and she'd be like going crazy and I like start smiling and laughing. Now, don't do that, fellas, but I'm just telling you that, like, she could, even within doing so, although that wasn't the correct way to handle the situation, that kind of show her, like, baby, you can't get me out my hookup. Like, you yelling and screaming, that's not really doing nothing. Let's talk as adults, baby. You must do the same when dealing with adversity with chicks, fellas, right? Next, we get into chapter 23 to 25, right? And this talks about, the masculine versus feminine imperative. And, it starts with feminine men, which I used to be once upon a time, right? Masculine men are attracted to feminine women and feminine men are attracted to masculine women. This is a mistake I used to make as a nice guy, fellas. I used to have all these female friends, fellas, and think like, they used to vent to me about these niggas playing them, breaking their hearts, shitting on them. And for some odd reason, I thought I had to be the opposite to attract them. When in reality, they kept going back to the nigga that was dogging them, cheating them, and doing them dirty. Now, I'm not saying dog women, cheat on them, and do them dirty, fellas. There was obviously other aspects that were keeping them interested. Like these men were athletes. These men, were rough around the edges. There were other things that attracted my female friends to these men, right? But I used to think so logically, and women aren't logical, brother. I used to think, oh, if she's crying to me about this guy, I need to be this guy, which is a feminine man. Don't make the same mistake I used to make early on, right? Fellas, the more masculine I am, the more feminine women I attract. Let me say that again. The more masculine that you are, the more feminine women that you will attract. Fellas, I'm the best example of this. My Instagram is not for dating. My Instagram is for my business, right? So on my Instagram, I look like I yell at niggas all day, right? I've had a lot of chicks unfollow me, fellas, but the ones that fall in my DM or see me in person and be, oh my God, cry, are the most feminine women ever, because they're attracted to that masculinity. So all that did was filter out all of the masculine women that was in my followers, right? That's how it has to be. Women don't want a nigga like her. They don't. Same thing as us. Do you want a masculine chick, fellas? No. So women don't want a feminine man. A lot of times nice guys are feminine men, right? Next, it talks about being selective, right? So as a masculine man, it is key to choose a feminine woman who is the opposite of him. They kind of piggyback on each other, off of each other, fellas. Don't look for masculine qualities in women. Women are not logical, reasonable, and unemotional. Women are emotional, confusing, delusional, and inconsistent. You have to accept that. Again, what I was saying before, like these men online, they be like saying, I would never do that, or I move like this. Why she moving like that? It's case by case depending on the situation. Sometimes that is the mindset to have, but I would say more times than not, fellas, like she's a chick, you fucking dweeb. Of course she's not gonna move like you, right? That's why me personally, fellas, I don't care if a woman is broke or rich. It doesn't make me a fucking difference. That's the last thing I care about. Some men prefer in like rich and ambitious chick to like build a powerhouse. I don't. The chick can work at Amazon if she's sweet, caring, nice, and feminine, God-fearing, and comes from a great family, and I think she would be a great mother to my daughters. Absolutely. 10 times out of 10, I could give a fuck about her income. That's why I'm fucking grinding the way I am, so I can ice everything. Right? And a lot of times with women that are very ambitious and maximize their income, they come with a lot of masculine traits, because as men, we're trying to be ambitious and maximize our income. And you think about the identity you have to adopt to do that. The ambitious women, they have to do the same thing, and that comes with a lot of masculine traits. That's why it's important to keep the symmetry within a relationship, right? Like this chapter talks about, to maintain intimacy, you must maintain masculine tendencies while your partner maintains feminine tendencies. If not, your relationship will turn more into a partnership. You want to always keep the intimacy there. I'm not going to say the individual's name, but they may be watching this video now. They used to be in the Elite and 1% Academy. This individual was married, and like his wife was the breadwinner. Like he literally had to give his paycheck to her, and she literally ran the relationship. And this is something I told him on a call, so I don't want y'all to think I'm talking shit about him. He knows this, right? But there was no feminine and masculine imperative. Like it was masculine and masculine. Like it was like she was the breadwinner. She was running the relationship. She was saying, yes, we can do this. No, we can't do that. Like he literally had to talk to her to get in my program. You never want that to be you, brother. Ever, 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 ever. Right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we'll get into chapter 26. And chapter 26 talks about biology, right? So this is another chapter that you want to take with a grain of salt, fellas. What this chapter talks about, it's our human nature to want to be intimate with more than just one partner. Don't feel bad about it. Biologically, yes, that is correct. Like men, we were put here to procreate. However, I am a man of God, fellas. And within Christianity, the Bible speaks about, being loyal to one woman, right? And that I've also seen both sides of that. My father wasn't the most faithful individual. My grandfather was the most faithful individual, right? So I've seen how a healthy marriage looks, and I've seen how an unhealthy marriage looks, right? And I'm always thinking from the opposite side of the light. Would I want my daughter to go through this? Would I want my mother to go through this? Would I want my grandmother to go through this? Right? So I'm not really with the, I love Andrew Tate, but I'm not really with the, oh, you can have a whole bunch of ticks, every man cheats. You've never heard me say anything like that. I don't really stand on those morals and principles. So I'll take this with a grain of salt. But what I will say, like, biologically, we are programmed to do that. But that's where becoming a 1% man comes into play, because to me, if you can control that, that's what makes you elite, right? Next, we get into chapter 27. This is one of my favorite chapters, and it talks about the SMB scale, right? So in this chapter specifically, it says word for word that young women have a great energy, youthful, feminine, uncompromised, that is attractive to masculine men, right? As women get older, fellas, they take on more and more masculine responsibilities and tasks, and they've been through more, so their guard is up, which automatically makes them more masculine, right? A woman's sexual market value is at its peak, fellas, from 18 to 25, and a man's sexual market value on average is at its peak from 30 to 40. Now, obviously, like, I'm 28 and I feel like I'm him. So, I mean, obviously it's case by case, but I'm just speaking for majority men. Most men don't hit their prime till 30 to 40, and women leave their prime after 25. And the reason this is, fellas, is because men and women have different values. Of course, we want a caring, nurturing woman, but we also want a beautiful woman, right? After 25 is when the looks start to degrade, especially if she's not in the gym. She may let herself go a little bit. The facial features aren't, as youthful as they once were. So if you just keep it black and white, that men value beauty, after 25, women start to lose a little bit of that, right? So their sexual market value goes down. But it's the opposite, like for men. Okay, what do women value? A man that can lead, protect, and provide. Well, when you're 20 to 30, 9 times out of 10, unless you've been in the trenches and you join 1% Academy as a young man, you can't do that yet, right? That's why you always used to see, especially for me, fellas, it was this bad girl in high school, man. Her name was Taylor, bro. She was so bad. And she even looked like she was a senior. Like, we was all freshmen in high school. She looked like she was a senior, but she was a fucking freshman, right? But she dated this guy named Fitz, the senior. And I used to always wonder, like, man, why she don't fuck with because like the young niggas, like the young raw niggas in our class. And this was why. Like, that nigga had a Mustang. That nigga was had the status, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's on a smaller scale, but it's the same thing on a larger scale, fellas, from men 30 to 40 versus women 18 to 25, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, fellas, right? Next, we get into chapter 28 to 29, which is one of my favorite chapters as well. And it talks about vetting, right? If a man wants a woman who doesn't want him, he cannot win. You will never enjoy a relationship with a woman who doesn't want you, even if she changed her mind. Right? Even if she changed her mind, right? Take it to the chin, level up, and choose girl who chooses you. Again, if she don't like you, she got bad taste. Only like women who like you. If you find yourself not being attracted to the women that like you, fellas, that means you need to level up as a man, right? Because you are who you attract. Period. Level up. Take it to the chin. The more that you level up, the more quality woman you will attract, right? The woman scale, fellas, to me, I've heard Austin Dunham say this. Women go to 1 to 10 and men go to 1 to 12, right? So a 12 man would be like the Drakes and the Chris Browns. And that's why you see the 10s with them, right? And you'll see like the 8s with women be like with the high level entrepreneurs on Instagram. Those would be like 10s. Does that make sense? So really what I'm trying to say, fellas, is you always will have genuine burning desire from a chick that is 2 points lower than you, right? Think about it. It's a reality check, right? If you consider yourself to be a 6, the chicks that is head over heels for you, like maybe let you slash the first date, very, very interactive in the text messages, respond back right away, speak highly of you, always giving you compliments, they're probably on the sexual market value scale a 5, right? Maybe you think you're a 9. The chicks that show you genuine desire are a 7. Most of the time. I'm just speaking most of the time. Obviously, there's exceptions to the rule. Like, to me, I'm an 8, fellas. I think that I'm an 8, just being, I know some of y'all gonna say, oh, this nigga just being humble. No, I believe I'm an 8. And I've dated like women on the same level as me, like an 8, but the women that show the genuine desire is like 6s and 7s. That's why it's so important to level up as a man, right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into shit test part 2. So this chapter just goes a little bit more in depth with the shit test, fellas. And what this chapter says is sometimes women will make requests of men, not to get him to do something, but to see if he's weak enough to do it. Fellas, this is facts. This used to happen to me a lot. I used to have women like Man, dude, oh my, this is crazy. I remember this just popped in my head as I'm making this. I didn't have this in the script. I was talking to this chick, fellas, and actually I wasn't even talking to her. Like we was just like it was like the stage before you start talking to this chick. Like y'all flirting, y'all see each other out here and there, y'all send DMs here and there, y'all text here and there, but nothing serious, right? So I see her out, right, and I got that shit on. This is when I was living in Cleveland. I see her out. Not only did I see her out, but I was with two other females when I seen her out. Now both of the females was my female friends. But she didn't know that, right? And one thing you got to understand about women move in flocks. Social proof is everything. So the fact that I was with two chicks and they were pretty chicks was like it was kind of like showing her like I can get women, right? So I seen her, she seen me with my female friends, but I just walked away from my female friends. I go up to her, I'm conversating with her X, Y, and Z. I give her a big ass long hug, and then I leave out, right? And she calls me like, yo, I forgot my credit card. And we got all this food. Like, can you send me 150? And I'm like, send you 150? And she like, yeah. And I'm like, and this is even before I was hip on female nature, fellas. I think the real reason I ain't seen this because I was a broke dweeb. But even being so, fellas, I was like, I'm never sending you 150, baby. Right? Now, I know I would bet 10 times out of 10 times, fellas, she had the money to pay for that dinner. She just wanted to see. That's what this chapter talks about, right? Don't fall for women's shit tests. Always hold, frame, and control the situation, brother. Don't be a pussy whip dweeb, please, right? Women will ask you to do all kinds of things every day. Do not allow yourself to be swayed from your truth and the direction of your heart. A woman wants to feel that your divine masculine presence is stronger than your distractibility. Women are pleased by strength. Let's piggyback on that example. So I actually egged it on. Now that I think about it, I was actually like, yeah, I'll send it to you, but I never did, right? Then she was texting me, blowing my phone up, like not asking for the money, but just like on some like the next day, like, damn, why you ignoring me? Like she knew she fucked up, right? I had her at that point. She was pleased by my strength, right? Be selective with the time that you give women, especially about dating. This avoids shit tests in her mind to wonder, right? So same thing, fellas. Avoid the fucking shit test, man. Don't be a dweeb, right? Next, we get into chapter 31, right? And this talks about her complaints, right? So this kind of piggybacks on that. You know, women are emotional creatures and, you know, they make decisions and rationalize based on their emotions. A woman's complaint is her present mood. A man shouldn't hear her complaints literally, but more as an overall observation. The thing that she's complaining about is really the thing that she's complaining about. I just said this in the previous chapter. If she's complaining about financial issues, fellas, she's usually feeling that you're not going hard enough or you have no direction or clarity with the future of the relationship, right? Period. Right? If she's claiming that she's bored in a relationship, really, she probably just saw her friend's nigga take her out or something on Instagram. Like it's never just black and white with women. It's always something deeper. So this chapter kind of just piggybacks on that. And again, women will continuously make decisions on how they feel. Accept it. Don't hate women. We love women, but at the same time, we must understand them. Right? Chapter 32 talks about the priority myth. This is one of my favorite chapters, fellas. Women make it seem like they want to be the most important thing in your life. However, if she is the most important thing in your life, she will feel like you are not fully dedicated or directed to growth, right? At the core, fellas, a woman wants a man to be dedicated to his purpose and also love her fully. A woman will never trust and love you if she's the number one priority in your life. With women, fellas, you have to literally play cat and mouse, like this is something you really have to build a skill on. I think that this is something I've definitely I wouldn't say I'm master, but I'm so much better than what I used to be. I kind of like feed women scraps. So like if it's a day where I don't have a lot of calls or I'm not really busy and all my content's done, I'm extremely communicative that day, right? And this sounds kind of toxic, fellas, but take it with a grain of salt or take it word for word. This is what works well for me. So like there will be a day where I'm like, I have a lot of time and I'm extremely open and available. And then, you know, me and her are communicating. Maybe we go on a date. Maybe you stay on the phone all night, whatever the case may be. But come Sunday, Monday, I'm back to the grind. I'm back in the trenches. Y'all know how I rock. In the moment, it's friction. Because she's like, damn, like you was just talking to me all day. Now you busy. What's going on? Right? But really, It's extremely attractive and it maintains that mystery. You never want a woman to feel like she has you figured out. Once she has you figured out, you lost. Right? In the dating stage, in a relationship, it's very, very difficult to maintain mystery. That might need to be a whole nother module when you're in a relationship. But when the dating stage is so important to maintain mystery. Once a woman has you figured out, you've lost all or, brother. You have, right? And you have to understand that, especially if the woman's very attractive, she is used to guys just texting her all day, calling her all day, asking her where she's at, trying to take her on dates every single day. When you're locked in on your purpose and you already have some of the outputs, it's so attractive, right? Because it's like she's trying to like earn your attention. And it's like when she's with you, it's so much better. It's so much better. Like, let me continue to use the ice cream analogy. Favorite ice cream is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. I haven't had Reese's Peanut Butter Cup in about 2 weeks. I know the next time I have it, it's going to hit. Why? Because I haven't had it in a while. Too much circulation makes the price go down. So never think you have to make a woman the number one priority in your life. Your purpose should always be the number one priority in your life. It's a win-win at all times. It's no cons to putting your purpose first. It's not. In the moment, it might be like she might get upset in the moment, fellas, but I'm telling you right now, it's doing you more justice than justice. That's what this chapter talks about, right? Next, this chapter talks about, and this is one of my favorite but least favorite chapters because it's very, very true, and it's an unfortunate fact about women, fellas. Most women, right? But it basically says that women have a short memory, and they do. A man could be perfect for 10 years, but if he's an asshole for 30 seconds, a woman will act like he's always been one. Again, feminine, live in the moment, never in the past. Women are very, what have you done for me lately? To restore love and happiness, make a girl feel good in the present. Make her feel good in the present. If y'all have been arguing for a week straight, you take her out, take her shopping, or I don't know, whatever your girl liked that day, she's going to feel better that day. That's just how women are, right? Now, obviously, it doesn't have to be monetarily, but in some way, shape, or form, fellas, it's important to, especially if you're in a relationship, make a woman feel special in some way, shape, or form every single day. Or like you're only, it's so fucked up, man. I'm trying to find a way to say this without just bashing women because I love women to death. But it's really like, what have you done for me lately, bro? Like, I don't operate in that realm with my male relationships or my platonic female relationships. I literally, the same way I tell y'all I got a list of hate of like people that shitted on me, I got like a separate list. It's not called a list of love. It's just a separate list of like all the people that held me down and was there for me when I didn't have shit. And I promise when I'm up, I'm gonna take care of them. Maybe it's just me. I don't think men have a short memory. Like, we really remember when people treat us good. I don't know about women, man. Women remember what the fuck you did today, doggy. That's just what it is, man. That's what this chapter talks about, right? Next, we get into chapter 34, which is one of my favorite chapter, fellas. And this talks about the importance of leading, right? A woman must trust you to take charge financially, sexually, and emotionally and spiritually. This doesn't mean do all the work, but as a man, you must be able to steer the course of your woman so she can relax in her feminine without fear. The more relaxed a woman is in her feminine, the more radiant she will be. Always lead. Masculine women, fellas, this is why, I love to take accountability for, most of the stuff in regards to how women act. And I'm going to tell you why. Masculine women come from feminine men. When you with a woman and she's super masculine, she done dealt with some feminine niggas. Or a single mother that raised her. And how do you become a single mother? By dealing with a nigga that was feminine and didn't want to lead the household. So it all comes back to us, fellas. Always lead. Always lead. You must take accountability. Always think from a viewpoint. How would you want your daughter to be led? How would you want your mother to be led? How would you want your grandmother to be led? Always lead as a man. You are the leader. Never depend on her to make the decision. You must steer the ship. You in the driver's seat. She in the passenger seat at all times. It takes a lot of responsibility, brother. But you're a man. Especially if you're trying to be a 1% man. Right? You got to lead. Right? Next we get into chapters 35 through 37. And this chapter talks about, a little bit about sexuality, fellas. So it talks about being dominant, man. And it basically says it's okay to release your deepest and darkest sexual desires through intimacy with your women. And it's also what she desires to the core. When I was a nice guy, fellas, I agree with this 100%. When I was a nice guy, fellas, I used to this sounds so crazy saying this out loud, but y'all my guys. I used to not be as freaky as I wanted to be, if that makes sense. Because I had this ideology that, like, that's why you always watch what women do, not what they say. Like, women would meet me and be like, every guy just wants to have sex. I'm tired of everything being about sex. We're waiting to have sex, blah, 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 blah. As a dweeb, I used to listen to that, right? So I wouldn't fall within my domination. And even when we got to the nitty gritty and started having sex, I would like be kind of dweebish in the bedroom because like I had this ideology that she didn't really want to do it. It sounds very weird, but it was the facts. That couldn't be farther from the truth. Fellas, at the time I'm recording this video, right? And this isn't morally correct. I'm just being honest with y'all because I love y'all. Damn near every chick I meet always says like, we not having sex, we not doing nothing. Yet when they get in my presence, some odd reason that shit be happening. Now, that doesn't mean no means no. If a chick tell you no, fellas, no, I'm not even playing about that, fellas. Like we not doing the R word to no women. I'm just saying that women, I argue that women are more sexual than men, fellas. Sometimes women like the thrill of like you just dominating them. And maybe she said that she didn't want to do it before the date or a week before when I was on the phone, and seeing that like you just like that it happened, it just turns her on, bro. It's very hard to explain. Like my most recent chick that I was talking to, this happened with, fellas, at the time I'm recording this video. Like she was really, really big on like not doing it, celibacy. I got with her, fellas. You know, we did our 1-2 in the hotel room, but after that, we was just doing it everywhere. Like we was out at this lounge and like we went to the bathroom, fellas, like, and she was just like, I'm not gonna repeat what she said. I don't know what age is watching this, man. I'm not gonna go too much in depth. And when I was scripting the rest of these modules, kind of talk about sex a lot, I was laughing. But fellas, like she wanted me to do that in all words, right? Women are turned on by men with aggression and strength, right? A woman doesn't want you to be the killer, but she wants to be turned on by a man that has the capacity to kill. Let me say that again. A woman doesn't want you to be a killer, but she wants to be turned on when a man has the capacity to kill, right? A woman wants a fearless man. She wants to feel your capacity to face her closure, anger, and tension without trying to minimize her feminine force. At the core, a woman desires a man's dark side, right? So let's piggyback on what I was telling y'all about my female friends, or like women venting me about niggas that was cheating on them. It wasn't the cheating that made them go back. It was the rough edges. It was the dark side. It was the fact that he'd cheat and tell her straight up and not lie about it. That was attractive. They love that masculine energy, fellas. Embrace that. Embrace it. You'll be surprised how far that shit'll take you. I promise you. Right. Next, we get into chapter 38. Right. So in chapter 38, it speaks about, the importance of what I speak about, checking every single C. Right. So you guys know, as a man, I preach that to be a 1% man, you want to be exceptional in all realms: cut, charisma, church, character, cash, combat. Right. A man cannot be stuck in any areas of masculine capacity, or a woman will test them there. As a man, fellas, the reason yes, you want to check all 7 C's for you, but the reason I tell you guys to check every single C is because I don't want you to have no kink in your armor with these chicks, right? I want your shorty to look at you like you Superman. The more well-rounded you are as a man, the less of a probability you're gonna deal with the bullshit. Let me say that again. The more well-rounded you are as a man, the more exceptional are you as a man, the less you will deal with the bullshit. Let me give you an example. If I shoot 100 threes and Steph Curry shoot 100 threes, we both might miss, but the probability of Steph missing is a lot smaller because Steph has checked every single C within shooting, right? It's the same with these chicks. Yeah, I'm not saying when you become this 1% man, you're not going to deal with shit tests. You're not going to deal with emotions. You're not going to deal with ups and downs. She may not try to disrespect you or see if you'll do some dumb shit, whatever the case may be. But I'm trying to tell you, you'll decrease the probability of her doing those things. I would love to decrease the probability. So let me be exceptional in every single round, right? Next, we get into chapter 39 through 40, and this chapter speaks about feminine energy, right? So as a masculine man, you must accept and enjoy feminine energy. Each age of woman has their own value. Don't degrade older women. Treat all women with respect, right? So the same way I spoke about the sexual market value, that doesn't mean you just be shitty to older women, right? I know plenty of older women that are the most, actually, I'm gonna be honest, like my non-family members, the most feminine woman I ever met in my life was like 39. She was older. She's a great friend of mine. Extremely feminine, right? So this chapter just talks about treat all women with respect. Like, don't be like, oh, she burnt out, like you be seeing online. Like, don't do that, fellas, right? You know, understand the sexual market value and the scale, but treat all women with respect. Like, all women have some type of feminine energy and value, regardless of their age, right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into chapter 40 through 44. So this talks a little bit more about lust and sex, fellas, right? And what this chapter first speaks about is to use your lust for women in other ways outside of sex. Transfer that energy into inspiration to other areas so you can grow, right? So basically, the purest form of this, fellas, is to not be a fucking dweeb and beat your dick. Don't be a fucking dweeb and beat your dick. Channel your lust into being an exceptional man so you can do the real thing. That's what I got from this chapter, right? A lot of times, y'all motherfuckers be talking about, oh, I'm celibate, cry, oh, I'm abstinent. Brother, you're celibate and abstinent like by choice. If a 10 was booty butt naked in front of you, you would do it. You just can't attract the woman that you want because you're a fucking dweeb. You haven't maximized every single area of your life, right? So this chapter basically just tells you to channel that lustful sexual energy into you, right? When a man cannot control his sexual urges, a woman will always win and know how to control you, right? Again, this is something I've mastered. Fellas, I don't really, as much as I tell y'all, like when I meet chicks, 9 times out of 10, the first link, they going, I don't be pressed for it to happen. I don't. I've been on a date with a chick and we went to the movies. We were sitting in the car. We was talking, listening to music, eating. Like, that's like one of my favorite dates, fellas. Like, I love listening to music and like eating wings in the car. That's just one of my favorite dates. So that's what we was doing. I don't think we was eating wings. We was just in the car. And she was just like, why you just sitting there? Why you not doing nothing? I've had plenty of women tell me this before. Like, why you not doing nothing? Like, do you not want to kiss me? Like, brother, that's the game. To never just seem thirsty and not being able to control your sexual urges, right? Like, even prior to linking up, if a chick's like, yeah, we not doing nothing, I'd be like, yeah, I ain't really trying to do nothing. You right. Like, just fall into it, fellas. Trust me. It's going to throw them all the way off guard, and you're going to separate yourself as a man, right? Chapter 45, fellas, talks about body language, right? So, word for word, it says in this chapter, when the front of your body is open, you demand attention from the room. Always have good posture. Take deep breaths all the way through your lower body, right? You guys have heard me talk about this countless times on YouTube, but body language is so important, fellas. Let me speak about a few body language tips that you can carry with you as a man just to control the fucking room. One is what they said, like, walk in with your chest straight, right? Firm handshakes, smile, not cheesy all the time, but like in a charismatic way, smile, hold eye contact with speaking, speak low and slow, right? So like how I'm talking, I'm gonna switch it right now. This is how I would talk to a chick. I wouldn't talk fast and up tempo. I would control my tone, be smooth. That's how I would talk to a chick, fellas. But I'm doing a module, so I'm talking a little bit fast because I have X amount of information to get to you in X amount of time, and Y amount of time, right? But with chicks and in social settings, fellas, slow, controlled, and monotone is always better, right? So you do that, firm handshakes, eye contact, smile, chest up, slow and monotone when speaking, whether you separate yourself from 99% of men from a body language standpoint, right? Next, we get into pleasing, right? So fellas, this chapter talks about to feel the full potential of sex, you must recondition your body and nervous system to relax your muscles while having sex. My pops used to joke about this when I was a young buck, like, nigga, you don't know how to have sex. You don't know how to please no chick. And I used to be like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. And all the fuck I thought pleasing a chick, fellas, was just going fast. Holy shit, was I a dweeb, right? Fellas, some of you guys might be experienced sexually. Some of you guys may not be. You want to redirect your attention to her sensations during intercourse, right? You want to feel her more than you feel yourself. This is what the chapter talks about. This ain't me. Read the book, right? Fellas, it's you gotta think. This is 1% Academy. We're trying to separate ourselves from other men. This is something I can speak to you about on a one-on-one call. I'm not going to speak about it too much in the modules. If you're in the elite, we can literally have a call about this. But it's so satisfying to a woman, like when you make her orgasm, because a lot of guys can't do it. A lot of guys they premature ejaculation, or they come fast, or they just don't do the things that make women ejaculate, right? So if you know how to please a woman sexually, fellas, you have so much control, because that's where a lot of men don't have control, is the sex, right? Right? They making all the money, they got the physique, right? But when it comes to the bedroom, she got him. You need her, right? You want to flip the script on these chicks. You want to make it seem like, baby, you have sex with me, you come in before me. And that's all I'm gonna say. If you want to know more, join the elite. We can have a call about it, right? Okay, chapters 47 through 49, fellas, right? Primary asymmetry, right? So man and women must support each other in their priorities in order to make the relationship work. Women prioritize love with a partner they can submit to and trust, while men prioritize their purpose. That is the best relationship. When a woman is trusting you to lead and you are dialed in with your purpose, that is a 1% relationship in my eyes. Obviously built on the foundation of God, but like when she's like dependent on you to lead and can just relax in her feminine, and you're putting your purpose first, maximizing yourself, checking every single C, being exceptional, that is the most healthy relationships that I've seen in real life, right? The direction and growth in a relationship is the man's responsibility. A woman is responsible for a man's erection or energy in the body. You must live and align your life with your purpose. If you don't set this example, your woman will not trust you to lead her. Same thing I told y'all, fellas. Like, you think women want all this attention, they really don't. They want you to align with your purpose. If you're not aligned with your purpose, long term, she will not trust you. Short term, she will love it. Long term, she will not. I promise you, right? The last chapter, I believe this is the last chapter. Yeah. It talks about masculine environment. I really, really love this chapter. And this is what you guys are doing now with investing in 1% Academy. Overcoming challenges and being competitive with other men can restore your drive and purpose. Same with women spending time with other women. It can restore their femininity. Spending too much time around your partner can ruin a relationship. You will start to adopt her feminine qualities, and she will start to adopt your masculine qualities. Space is important. I could not agree more. One of the pros of, my last relationship is that she was a flight attendant, so we really weren't around each other as much as we would have been with living together. That was one of the reasons, although our relationship was fucked up, it wasn't as fucked up as it would have been if we were together every single day, right? Because you literally, that's why, they always say, like, you show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your future. They're not really saying your friends. It's really the 5 people that you spend the most time with. That's why I always say, like, your partner and your occupation are the most important things. Right? Because, like, how can I not be sharp as a man? And the majority of my day, I'm speaking to y'all about being sharper. Right? And then when I'm done speaking to y'all, I'm going to work out with my niggas. Right? Now, I'm not saying don't spend time with your girl, fellas, but it's important to continuously surround yourself with that masculine energy. Like, don't be the motherfucker that get in a relationship and just be like, just fall off with your homeboys. Like, you need that while in a relationship. Like, you need to be able to talk to an individual and they not judge you, or just have a nigga that you can trust, when things is going left in your relationship, or just to get around and just maintain that masculinity is very, very important, and it actually benefits the relationship. So that is the end of The Way of a Superior Man. This is one of the longer books in the 1% library, fellas, as far as the module. Again, I recommend you read this book still, fellas. But again, part of you guys investing is to speed up the process. I just gave you an in-depth grasp within less than an hour and 20 minutes, fellas. And, also the resources attached for the daily reads. But, this is a very important book, that, I speak a lot about mindset and discipline, but, this is great on masculinity and dealing with the feminine imperative on a day-to-day basis. Because, like I said, we do this for us, but at the end of the day, we do it for chicks as well. We don't want to be an old single dweeb, right? We all want to be happy and, have a family. At least I would hope so. Maybe you don't want a family, but I know you want some type of chick. And within that, you just have to understand women and understand yourself and how to maintain that masculinity while dealing with the chick. So this is really the number one book to learn about that. So I recommend you guys still read it, but that's the end of this module. See y'all soon. Peace! It's time! It's time, fellas. Welcome to the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck module, man. This is a top 5 book for me. You know, this is actually one of the first books I've ever read, and I always recommend guys for this to be either the second or third book that you read when you first start your self-improvement journey, because that's what it was for me. And this book really isn't talked about enough in the online space. Like, I think this is like one of the best self-improvement books of all time. Absolutely. Right. So it's very underrated, fellas. Again, I recommend that you read it. Right. But part of these modules, as I'm going to continue to say, is to speed up the process for you guys so you can get a grasp on the information and apply it immediately. But again, listen to these modules as many times as you need to. But overall, fellas, I'm going to go very, very in depth. But the thesis of this book, man, it really just changed my perception on struggle and adversity and problems and stress to the point where, like, I reframed my whole perception of tough experiences and I started to enjoy them. And that, you know, you guys hear me say hate happiness and seek pain. A lot of that is from the mindset shift I got after I read this book, right? So without further ado, I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's get right into it, right? So chapter 1 hits the ground rolling, fellas, and it talks about struggle, right? So chasing positivity is a negative experience, and truly accepting negativity is a positive experience. What does that mean? As a man, especially, fellas, when you continuously seek happiness or wake up every day like, I'm not happy, you will never be happy, ever. The people that do that are the least like happy people, right? They continuously just wake up every day and like looking for some fucking motivational podcast or just something to appear out of thin air to make them happy. They have the most fucking negative life ever. Versus the individuals who accept negativity have the most positive life ever, right? Let me give you an example. When I lost my job, fellas, right? I wasn't just waking up every day like, when is something good gonna just transpire in my life, right? When I lost my job and then I was like, okay, I gotta do something about it. I gotta make something shake. Maybe this is an opportunity. That's when the happiness came. That's where I got that. I got that from this book. I got that principle from this book, right? It also talks about in this chapter, everything good comes out of struggle and adversity. Facts! Let's use the job example again, fellas. If I didn't lose my job, bro, y'all wouldn't be watching these modules. There would be no 1% Academy. There would be no YouTube channel. If my ex didn't fucking break the lease, brother, there would be no YouTube channel. There would be no cry. Y'all would not be watching this module right now. Both of those things were extremely uncomfortable for me. Right? You got to think, oh, grandma, I lose my job. Life smacking me in the fucking face. Finances is fucked. Mental is fucked. That struggle propelled me to be the man that I have to be. So I challenge you, fellas. I want you to start changing your perception and looking at struggle. Don't think, why is this happening to me? Think, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to show me? Why is this trying to put me at rock bottom? Is this the start of the middle of what I pray for? You guys always hear me say you're right in the middle of what you pray for. The struggle and the adversity at times is the beginning of what you pray for, right? Love struggle as a man, fellas. You literally, by definition, have to lose to win. You have to lose to win, right? You have to know what it feels like to lose. 1, so you know not to do that anymore. 2, so you realize, okay, I don't want to feel this shit ever again. That's one of the biggest motivators for me. A lot of motherfuckers like to talk about motivation. Now that I have the physique that I wish to acquire, fellas, my mindset is, I have to maintain this physique because I know what it feels like not to have this motherfucker, right? Me having a successful business, even on days where I got 12 calls, got to record modules, script out a YouTube video, track every single macro, still hit the gym, respond back to all of my brothers in the elite within 24 hours, call them back if need be. The days that everything is hectic, I think, holy shit, this shit is tough, but it's not as tough as when I was working 10-hour days with a 9-to-5 or when I lost my job and I was uncertain how I was going to put food on the table. So you literally have to lose. Right? You learn the most about yourself as a man when you are at rock bottom, when you go through adversity, when you go through struggle. I want you to embrace that, fellas. Literally, right? That's what this chapter talks about. Next, we get into chapter 2, right? In chapter 2, the thesis that I really got from it, fellas, is that no matter how you slice the fucking pie, life sucks, right? Life itself is suffering. Everybody on earth suffers. The rich suffer because of their riches. The poor suffer because they're poor. Right? People are married, suffer because of their spouses and family at times, and people that are single suffer because of their loneliness. There's no life with a fucking silver lining of perfection, brother. Everybody is struggling. The grass is never greener on the other side. It's not. You look, even the individuals you aspire to be like from a financial acumen standpoint or a physique standpoint, right? Let's use the physique, for example. You may look at me like, damn, like Cry physique is on point. But you don't know, like, the intensity that I'm pushing myself in the gym, me timing every single break, me pushing myself in the motherfucking failure reps, me showing up to the gym despite working 10 to 12-hour days, me staying on top of my macros, knowing I could order Wingstop and it really not affect my physique. I used to have this ideology, fellas, that once you become the man you need to be, life is easy. And John Mark really changed my perception of that, because it's even harder. The easiest thing as a man when you're chasing this 1% is when you don't have shit and you running towards it. As crazy as it sounds, your 0 to 32 degrees is the easiest part of the journey. The toughest part of the journey is when you hit that 32 and you still have to adopt the identity and the traits that got you to that 32 degrees to maintain it. That's why you always hear music artists say it's very hard to replicate their debut album, because one, they got everything to talk about. Two, they are new artists. After that, that's when the critics can start critiquing you. You done talked about certain things, so you got to get more creative. It's the same thing with chasing this 1% shit. Right? Like John told me, brother, it's more hard to wake up at 4 now, go to the gym now, work on modules now, because I'm already up. I've already received my standards, right? So a lot of the people that you look up to, I digress for a bit, but I'm going to get back on track. A lot of the people that you look up to and you think their life is oh so great, I can show you they're suffering in some way, shape, or form. Pain is inevitable. You must choose your pain. You must choose your pain, right? No matter what. Do you want to fucking cry in a Lamborghini Urus? Or you want to cry in a Toyota? You want to be living paycheck to paycheck and live a mediocre life? Or do you want to deal with, damn, I'm a little tired from this deep work session? You want to deal with, damn, I'm a fat fucker and I can't see my dick because my stomach is over it? Or damn, I got to go to the gym for 7 days straight and do some cardio and eat the same fucking meal. What problems do you have? Either way, life is going to suck. Make sure you choose the right suck, right? Period, right? Next, it gets into problems, fellas. So problems never go away no matter what's going on. There is no such thing as eternal happiness. The solution to one problem is the creation of the next one, right? Don't hope for a life full of no problems, fellas. Hope for a life full of good problems. You guys always hear me say to be a 1% man. The 1% individuals, there's two types of 1% individuals when it comes to men, fellas. These are the men that have perfected their craft, the Drakes and the LeBrons of the world, or there's men that solve a shit ton of problems for a lot of fucking people. Alex Hormozi, Aman Ghazi, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, those type of individuals. No matter what, you're going to have problems. Make sure you choose problems that are going to traject you to be the man that you have to be. I don't want to deal with the problems of my kids that have a mediocre life. I don't want to deal with the problems of my mom at 60 and she's still working. I don't want to deal with the problems of being unconfident with what I see in the mirror. I don't want to deal with the problems of being a 60-year-old slob, hating my life, work a job for 40 years, but not fulfill my purpose as a man. I don't want to deal with those problems. So on the polar opposite of that, brother, is to deal with the problems of, damn, I got to wake up at 4. Damn, I got to record an hour-long YouTube video. Damn, I got to go to the gym even though I have the physique I wish to acquire. Damn, I got to go through my season of no to obtain the objectives I wish to obtain. Either way, I have problems, but I'd rather have the 1% problems, right? That's the problems I'd rather have. I remember a long time ago, I had a one-on-one call with my brother Alex, and he was dealing with problems of, I'm working this 9 to 5, I'm waking up early, I'm going to the gym, but after I do all those things, and I'm maximizing my YouTube, my purpose, but after I do all those things, it's hard to fit in tiny margins for me to prioritize my relationship with my chick and cleaning my house. Those are 1% problems. I'd rather you not know when you're going to talk to your girl and when you're going to clean your house, will be aligned with your purpose and aligned with the gym and waking up on time and be routine oriented, than not be routine oriented, your house be clean, your girl be satisfied with your communication skills, but you not be fulfilled as a man. Because at that point, you're a people pleaser. You're doing everything for everybody else, but not doing shit for yourself. So you just have to choose your problems, brother, right? Whatever makes us feel good is inevitable to make us feel bad. No matter fucking what, fellas. The wife we will marry, we'll argue with. The Urus I want will need repairs. The physique you want will be extremely sore. The chick that you want that's so bad will get on your fucking nerves. The job that you want so bad, you will have dark days within that motherfucker. You must accept that. True happiness requires pain and struggle. What determines success is not what you want to enjoy, but how much pain you can sustain. You guys always hear me say success is not about what you obtain, it's about how much pain you can sustain. These 1% individuals can accept whatever problems come with it for X amount of time. When I say X amount of time, I mean a very long time. Can you, right? Who you are is defined by what you're willing to struggle for, brother. So ask yourself, what are you willing to struggle for? And that will determine the height of your success, fellas. I promise you, right? All right, fellas, let's get into chapter 3, right? So you guys always hear me say, you know, you're not special. Every problem that you have, somebody else had and they still made a motherfucking way, or somebody had it worse and they still made a way. I got that from this book. The true measurement of self-worth is not how a person feels when everything is going great, right? But rather how a person feels when everything is going bad. If you only do the work when it's convenient or exciting, you'll never be able to achieve remarkable success. Everybody can do what they want to do on a perfect day or a perfect week or a perfect month. Like today, based on my routine, fellas, everything aligned perfect. I woke up on time. I took calls. I prepared for the calls. I went to the gym. My meal prep came on time. I'm recording this module. It's only 7:30. I'm going to get to bed on time. Everything worked perfect. Fuck that. I don't give a fuck about that. I'm more impressed with what the fuck I do when everything is going left. When I don't wake up on time, right? When I got less time to prepare for calls, maybe I got 7 fucking calls and I got to do a YouTube video. Maybe my meal prep came like yesterday. My meal prep was supposed to be yesterday. It didn't come yesterday. So that just took me more time because I had to go get find something healthy to eat and go get it. That took more time out of my day. That's what defines you as a man. I'm talking about it on a smaller scale, fellas, from a day-to-day perspective, but it's the same week to week. It's the same month to month. What are you going to do when adversity hits? That's going to define your true character as a man. Because again, you're not special. Every problem that you've had day to day, week to week, or month to month, somebody else had and they still made a way. Your situation is not unique at all. We're all dealt different cards. You must make the most out of the cards you are dealt. You cannot control if it rains outside, brother, but you can bring a motherfucking umbrella. One of the worst traits you can have as a man is feeling that you're entitled. That's one of the worst traits. I used to say that being delusional was one of the worst traits. I would say feeling entitled is worse. Why do you think you deserve massive success when you haven't suffered? Why do you think that you deserve massive success when you haven't won test days? When you haven't won test phases? Let's talk about it. Fuck a test days. Can you go through a test phase, motherfucker? I can't. I done did it a few times. Posting a video a day for 120 days when it didn't hit yet. Going to the gym for 9 months straight when it didn't hit yet. That was a test phase, and I came out of it victorious. You must do the same, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 4, fellas, right? Chapter 4 talks about perception. This is one of my favorite chapters, right? So suffering itself is inevitable, right? So the question should never be, how do I stop suffering, fellas? The question should be, why am I suffering? For what purpose? Again, don't say, why is this happening to me? Say, what is this happening to me to? What is this happening to me for? What is this trying to teach me? Right? Every sufferable emotion projected me forward to be a stronger man. Every single time, right? Every single time. Think about the worst moment of your life, fellas. Did it not make you stronger physically or cognitively? That's why I always say the gym must be the foundation for every man, because it's literally teaching you that so you can duplicate it in whatever realm. You suffering and exhausting that muscle, good comes out of that. Now your biceps 8 fucking inches. You holding that plank that's 6 inches and doing them Russian twists and timing every single break for 3 rounds is going to give you washboard abs. So when you take your shirt off, shorty is soaked. Switch your perception. This chapter alone made me love pain and hate happiness and literally seek pain. I challenge you every single day to do something extremely uncomfortable, brother, because that's where the growth happens. Period, right? Next, it talks about value, right? So it's important to value things you can control. This is so important, right? For example, honesty is a good trait to value because you can control being honest. Popularity is a bad trait to value, fellas, because you cannot control popularity. Popularity is opinionated. Fellas, I wish I would have read this book before I did music, because this literally fucked me up with music. And music is tough because anything really in entertainment to a certain extent is tough because your success is based on the opinions of others, right? So like My self-worth came from views and how many comments a reel got when I was rapping, or how many likes a post got from a photo shoot. My value came from that. You never want your value to come from things that are external. You only want your value to come through things that are internal, right? So, for instance, I can't control how many video likes a video gets on YouTube, or how many views a video gets on YouTube, but I can control changing men's lives. I can control making the next video better with my title, with my thumbnail, with my storytelling, with my entertainment, with my value. I can control that. So you should value that. Never value things you can't control. And that's completely linear with anxiety, fellas. All anxiety is, fellas, is worrying about shit you cannot control. If you can't control it, fellas, let it the fuck go. Women and kids worry about shit they can't control. As a man, you can never do that. Right? Bad values are generally reliant on external events. Value what you can control, fellas, and I promise you will be a lot more happier. Right? I promise you. Right? Next, we get into chapter 5. This is one of my favorite chapters, fellas. And within this chapter, it talks about responsibility, right? So the only difference between a problem being painful or being powerful is accepting that we chose it and we are responsible for it. We feel empowered when we choose our problems, and we feel miserable when our problems are forced upon us, right? We are responsible for everything in our lives, no matter what the external circumstances are, right? I'm going to continue to say it. Look at your motherfucking life, right? Look at the house that you have. Look at the car that you have. Look at the chick that you have. Look at the job that you have. Look at the physique that you have. Look at your fucking bank account. It's all a reflection of your standards. It's all your fucking fault. Stop pointing the finger as a man. Nobody's coming to save you. It's nobody's fault but yours. You must stand on morals and principles as a man. You make the decisions. You are the captain of your life. Once you accept that, brother, life will be a lot more smooth sailing, right? Accepting responsibility to our problems is the first step to solving them. Once you realize this shit is my fault, you're already 50% there, right? But when something occurs in your life and you're pointing the finger, it's my mom's fault because she's a single mom. It's my dad's fault because he's not in my life. It's my environment's fault because I was born in the hood. It's my fucking baby mama's fault because I told her to take the plan B. Whoever you want to blame, brother, it's your fault. It is, right? Because somebody had no dad and they made a way. Somebody was raised by a single mom and they made a motherfucking way. You came in that bitch, brother. And it's niggas that came in her and got kids and they still made a motherfucking way. So why can't you? You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how the fuck you react to it. You're responsible for every single thing in your life, fellas, regardless of the external circumstances. That must be law. That must be facts, right? Again, we are all dealt different cards, but you must make the most out of the cards you were dealt. But part of that is just first accept the responsibility for the shit that happens to you, period, right? Next, we get into chapter 6, man. This is a great chapter, and it talks about stress, right? So, fellas, never trust your perception of a positive or negative experience. Some of the most positive experiences of your life are the most detrimental. Some of the most negative experiences of your life are the most motivational or beneficial, right? All we know is what hurts in the moment, and that counts for nothing. That's why I tell you guys, never trust your emotions. Ignore your emotions as a man. Your emotions don't fucking matter at all. You must wake up every day and do the high leverage task regardless of how you feel. Part of that came from this, right? Fellas, 9 times out of 10, if something hurts in the moment, it's great for you. And 9 times out of 10, if something feels great in the moment, it's bad for you. The purest definition of this, fellas, busting that nut feels really, really good in the moment. Over time, now you got erectile dysfunction, right? Scrolling on social media fulfills that dopamine so much in the moment. By the end of the fucking week, you done spent 14 hours doing that shit when you could have put that 14 hours in your purpose, right? Having sex with that chick feels so good, right? Next thing you know, you got her pregnant and she don't even want to be with you. Now you were dad for 18 years for a child that you didn't even want to keep. All of those moments felt good in the moment, but that trajected you for fucking mediocrity and negativity later in life. Now let's flip it. Going to the gym every single day, that shit sucks in the moment, but now you have 8 to 10% body fat. Waking up at 4, that shit hurts in the moment, but by the end of the year, you have 30 more days than the average individual. So how the fuck can these other motherfuckers keep up? Reading 10 pages and taking notes hurts in the moment, but now you can process and remember the information because, again, you don't need more information. You just need to be reminded of the shit that you do know. So that little uncomfortability with taking notes, now nothing can shake you from a mindset perspective. right? What this chapter also talks about, and I'm literally going to add it right now, is uncertainty, right? The only way to achieve success is to be okay with uncertainty. The man who believes he knows everything knows nothing at all, right? So this kind of goes hand in hand with taking risk, right? Like my brother Jalen that joined 1% Academy, he already has jacked in his physique. And I remember when he joined, you know, he did the 6 month, right? And he was like, yo, I literally just invested my last. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, like I fuck with you, Cry, but I'm uncertain if this shit is gonna pan out. Now it did, right? Because I'm crying. I'm gonna put my all into you, like my life depend on it, right? But he had to deal with that uncertainty after he invested. Same with me, right? I trusted John Mark, but at the end of the day, is this shit gonna work? I didn't know. I saw that it worked for other individuals, but I wasn't certain that it worked for me, that it would work for me. Some of the decisions you make in life to propel you forward to be the man you have to be, you'll be uncertain, but you still have to make the decision. You'll be fearful, but you still have to make the decision. This book talks about that in this specific chapter to sit in uncertainty, fellas, right? Next, we'll get into chapter 7, right? One of my favorite chapters. And this talks about success magnitude, the magnitude of success, right? So the magnitude of your success, fellas, is based on how many times you have failed at something. I'm going to continue to say this, fellas. When I see an individual who was extremely successful, the first thing that comes to my motherfucking head is, holy shit, this motherfucker went through a lot of adversity. This motherfucker went through their 0 to 32 degrees. This motherfucker's failure resume is huge. This motherfucker went through stress, anxiety, depression. This motherfucker invested their last. This motherfucker took risks. This motherfucker went through their season of no. That's the first thing that comes to my head, because success itself is a whole bunch of suffering until something hits. That's why I never understood hate, and that's why I'm disgusted with myself when I used to be a fucking dweeb and hate on motherfuckers. Because all that meant is they went through a lot of pain and adversity that I failed to go through. Fellas, if somebody is better than you at something, that just means they failed more than you at it. Period. They showed up to the gym more. They woke up early more. They did more deep work sessions. They said no more. They tracked their macros more. That's all the fuck it means. You chose comfortability in the present. They chose uncomfortability in the present. So if anything, if somebody's more successful than you in a specific realm, you should salute them. You should have respect for them, right? And it's the same in the opposite light. If somebody is worse than you at something, it's likely because they haven't been through the painful experiences you have. Fellas, what is your failure resume? Why do you think that you don't have to fail to become successful? Failure is a fixed cost of success. If you look in that motherfucking mirror and sign that contract to be a 1% man, you are literally signing yourself up for a phase of fucking uncomfortability, struggle, and failure. I know I make this shit look easy and simple at times, but I've been through so much failure. I was laid off 2 times. I've lost plenty of jobs. I got my heart broken millions of times. I was addicted to porn. I was a skinny dweeb for X amount of time. I was losing my hair. My teeth was yellow. I struggled and failed for years until some shit hits. I just didn't document it, so y'all didn't see it, but you have to take my fucking word for it, brother. I failed so many times. Why the fuck do you think you don't have to? Why do you think that? You literally have to fail, right? If you are unwilling to fail, you are unwilling to succeed, right? Every 1% individual has failed. That's why I love failure so much. When I met John Mark, he opened up to me about his early stages of failure. Same when I met my brother, what the fuck is his name? My brother Jason, my brother George. They all went through years of failure to become fucking millionaires, brother. I promise you, you're right in the middle of it. It just ain't hit yet. It's gonna hit. Don't think that you don't have to go through adversity and failure. You will never achieve remarkable success without failure. Love failure. To deny pain is to deny your own potential. Niggas talk about, oh, you got potential. Oh, you got potential. To fulfill the potential, brother, go through pain, hate happiness, love adversity, love failure. That's literally what it takes, brother. I promise you, right? Next, this chapter talks about its perception on motivation. And you know, I really agree with this perception. It's very unique, right? And what this chapter basically talks about, fellas, is that action isn't just the effect of motivation. Action, it's also the cause of it. Let me say it again. Action is the effect of motivation. It's the cause of it. Taking action will cause you to be inspired, which will bring you motivation. Taking action is the key. That's why you guys always hear me say that momentum is the most powerful tool. Why? Because momentum is a combination of motivation and discipline combined. You are motivated to see how disciplined you were over X amount of days, but the only way to gain momentum is through action. But this chapter talks about the only way to gain motivation is through action. The purest form of this, fellas, is when I made a YouTube. When I literally, oh my fucking gosh, I'm literally in the same complex that I started my YouTube. I remember like walking down the staircase all the way on the right side with my camera, walking to one of the rooms, recording one of my first videos, and I believe it wasn't my introductory video. It was a video on the 48 laws of power. And it was extremely uncomfortable. I had just went to the gym. I was arguing with my girl. I was working a job that I didn't like. And it was extremely uncomfortable. I had no motivation, but I was just a fucking dog. So I did it. Then I showed up the next day, did it again. Then I showed up the next day, did it again. So not only was I motivated and had the momentum, like, yeah, I'm doing the shit I say I don't want to do with enthusiasm on a day-to-day basis, but I also had the motivation from my output perspective because people were starting to comment. People were starting to like. People were starting to, hop on my lives. People started DMing me on Instagram like, I fuck with your shit. So the motivation started to come, but it didn't start to come until I started to take a little bit of action. The mistake a lot of guys make, you motherfuckers don't take the action until the motivation comes, brother. Holy shit, are you a dweeb? You have to create your motivation. That's what this chapter talks about, right? Same thing with the gym. I wasn't motivated month 1 through 6. I ate shit and still showed the fuck up. Once them abs started coming in, I'm like, holy shit, let me keep going. Once that V-taper started coming in, brother, I said, holy shit, let me keep going. Once I started getting choosing signals from chicks, I said, holy shit, brother, let me keep going. The action created the motivation. So if you're ever uninspired, fellas, just do it. I think about the 5-minute rule, and I want to say Atomic Habits module talks about this. With not being motivated and procrastination, fellas, it's just that first 5 minutes. Once you get past the first 5 minutes, you're good to go. I want you to think that when you're not motivated. I want you to think, cross that in the subtle art of not giving a fuck module. I just got to take action. Let me just get past that first 5 minutes. After that, it'll be easy. Whatever the case may be, whatever your objectives are, right? Maybe it's the first 5 minutes of scripting that YouTube video. Maybe it's the first 5 minutes of recording it. Maybe it's that first 5 minutes when it's that first set. Maybe it's just opening up my fitness pal and tracking that first meal. And the motivation will come because you will build momentum and you will have the input proof, and best case scenario, you will have the output proof. Just take the fucking action, right? In chapter 8, fellas, it talks about rejection, right? This book, outside of one other book, really built the foundation for me to stop being a fucking people pleaser, fellas. Before I dive into this chapter, I want to give you guys a little bit of backstory. And I've talked about this on YouTube, but I don't feel like I talk about it in life. Like I'm extremely selfish now. Like I dedicate all my time to you guys and like a few people that can really get my time and attention. That's about it, right? But early on in my journey, fellas, I was the 1% people pleaser. I was answering every call. I was loaning everybody money. I was texting everybody back, right? And what this chapter basically talks about, if you value something, you must reject what does not align, right? I used to think if I go through my season of no, if I don't answer every call, if I don't text people back, people won't like me. And I care more about people liking me than being a 1% man. I don't want you to do that, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Don't make that mistake. You must always come first. You came in this world alone, you're going to die alone, right? And at the end of the day, those people that you're trying to please, 9 times out of 10, unless it's like your mother or father, they're going to put themselves first at all times. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Right? So what this is talking about, fellas, like it's so that avoiding rejection will, give us a comfortable life, but really you should lean into rejection. Lean into telling people no. Lean into being selfish with your time. Lean into not being able to go to every party, every kickback, kick it every weekend, respond to every text in a timely manner. Me personally, right now, I am the worst texter. Unless you're in 1% Academy, I'll always get back with you in 24 hours if you're in the elite. Besides that, if you're not my mom, my dad, or like my grandparents, brother, What am I texting you? I don't need nothing from you. You probably need something from me. So what am I texting you fast for? I have other high leverage tasks that I must complete to get me to my objectives. It sounds kind of like I'm being a dick, fellas, but you have to be a dick to be the man that you want to be to a certain extent. You do. These 1% individuals had to go through a selfish phase, a season to know. You must do the same. So whatever the fuck you value, fellas, you must stand on morals and principles to reject anything that does not align with that. That's what this chapter talks about, right? The last chapter, man, you guys always hear me say, we only get one life. I got that from this book, fellas, right? You must like recognize that you only have a limited amount of time on this earth, bro. Like you really only get one of these motherfucking lives, man. That's why it kills me when like I get on calls with guys that's trying to join 1% Academy and they like, oh, let me talk to my wife, or oh, let me think about it. Like, brother, like time is so fucking precious. Time is literally of the essence. I remember when I started this module and now I'm 30 minutes in. Time just flies the fuck by, brother. Like if you don't get a grasp of your life and the choices you're making on a day-to-day basis and create an environment to make failure impossible and lock in on the non-negotiables and seek pain and hate happiness and embrace failure and uncomfortability to be the man that you have to be and make sacrifices and take risks that most won't do to have a life that most won't have. Holy shit, are you going to be 80 years old on your fucking deathbed living a life of regret and what ifs? What if I would have did this? What if I would have did that? I don't fear shit, brother, but one thing I do fear is that a life of what ifs. I don't want to live a life of what ifs. I want to take every action possible to be the man that I have to be. I want to fulfill my potential. And the only way to fulfill my potential is to seek pain. You literally only get one. I know I feel like I say that sometimes, fellas, and it goes one ear through the other. You literally only get one fucking life. So whatever your objectives are, maybe it's to retire your mama, maybe it's to get a certain car, maybe it's to have abs, maybe it's to have 1,000 subscribers, maybe it's to make 10K a month for real estate, whatever it is. If you don't give it your all and align with that on a day-to-day basis, brother, you are setting yourself up for a life full of regret. Period, man. Right? So this is a shorter book, fellas. It actually is a quick read, which is, part of the reason why this is a shorter module than the other books. But this is a great book, fellas. Again, this is top 5 book of all time, may even be top 4. And I recommend that you, man. But again, listen to these modules over and over again until the information sticks. Obviously, the daily reads will be attached as a resource in the school community, fellas. But again, I love you guys, man. Let's fucking win. See y'all soon. Peace! Yes! Yes, fellas. Welcome back to the Relentless module in the 1% library classroom, man. Super excited about this one, man. This is one of my favorite reads. And this book, the thesis of this book, fellas, is this about an individual named Tim Grover. As you can see, he's the author of this book, and he is an MBA trainer, right? And he spoke about his experiences with training some of the top individuals who have like the most relentless and killer instincts. He trained Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Mike. Right? He kind of shits on Bron a little bit in this book. I think personally Bron is part of that category, but who am I? He knows more than me. Obviously, he's in the trenches with these individuals. But while I'm breaking this down, and he said this in the book, like in this book, he's talking about NBA players, right? But this book is like one of a New York Times best-selling authors and books. Why? Because high-level individuals understand that I have to take what this individual took from these individuals that are exceptional in their realm and apply it to me. And that's exactly what I did with what I'm about to explain. And that's exactly what I want you to do when I'm explaining this. So without further ado, I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it chapter by fucking chapter. All right. Chapter 1, relentless, defined, right? Relentless is demanding more of yourself than anyone else could. It's knowing that every time you stop, you can still do so much more, right? There's a quote, fellas, that speaks about relentless motherfuckers work hard and think I'm not doing enough, and dweebs work hard and think like, oh my gosh, I've been super productive. I found myself doing this in the beginning of my journey. I would watch like 3 Andrew Tate YouTube videos, read a chapter, go to the gym, and I just thought like, man, I'm that guy. Fellas, I'm about to record another module after this. I've never recorded 2 modules in a day, but I'm having a relentless mentality. I have to demand more of myself. Fellas, I consume a lot of Alex Hormozy, and recently I've been consuming a lot of Charlie Morgan content on Instagram or YouTube, preferably YouTube. I recommend you guys watch. But I always like to read the comments. In the comments, when like there was a video that Charlie Morgan did. For those that don't know, Charlie Morgan is a high level entrepreneur. Check out his content, man. He's really, really dope. And he's made, multi seven figures, whatever the case may be. And he made a video about like the productivity hacks to work 12 hours a day nonstop. And it's one of my favorite videos of all time. But if you read the comments of that video, people were saying like, this is extreme. Bingo! That is what I want you to strive for in your life. Motherfuckers think I'm extreme. People say all the time in my comments, this is extreme. Go home, see your family, blah, blah, blah. Bingo. Once you're doing that, that's when you're relentless, fellas, right? When you are aiming to be the best at what you do, you can't worry about whether your actions will upset people or what they'll think of you. You have to be selfish, fellas. You guys hear me say all the fucking time. You have to go through your season of no before you go through your season of yes. You will hurt people's feelings. You have to be the best you before you can be the best friend. You have to be the best you before you can be the best boyfriend. You have to be the best you before you can be the best son. I'm going to continue to say it, brother, right? When you're on an airplane, right? And the airplane is crashing, they tell you to put your mask on first before you help somebody with somebody else's. Well, brother, that is your life, right? To be the best, you got to ignore the pain. You got to ignore the exhaustion. You got to ignore the pressure to please everyone else. To get different, you must do different. 99% of individual. That's why I always say, fellas, if you don't want to be a 1% man, I feel like I say this every YouTube video, don't watch my content. You don't have to. You don't have to be a 1% man to go to heaven. I'm more concerned with you being a man of God and going to heaven. But while you're on earth, if you desire to be exceptional and change your family's trajectory, brother, you have to do a lot of shit that most people won't do. And most people care about what other people think. You cannot. Never see obstacles as problems. Only see them as solutions, right? Fellas, I always tell you guys, don't look at this and think, why is this happening to me? Think, what is this happening to me for? I go through shit now and I think, yes, this is part of my story. And early on, I didn't realize that, but I'm glad that I pursued through it, right? Fellas, y'all wouldn't be on this module if I didn't go through heartbreak before in my life. If I wasn't a skinny dweeb, broken, depressed, losing my fucking hair, right? If I didn't fail with music, if I didn't fail with e-commerce, if all them jobs didn't let me go, right? If my chick didn't break the lease and then I had to spend my last with John Mark. All those obstacles propelled me. All those failures propelled me, brother, right? So you must love that. You must love obstacles. You must love problems. Switch your perception of that, right? Never be satisfied. Be relentless, right? Next, let's get into chapter 2, right? And in chapter 2, this is really the main thesis of the whole book, in a way. But in this whole book, he's speaking to, referring to 3 types of individuals. The main thesis of what he talks about is just cleaners. But I want to explain cleaners, closers, and coolers to you guys so you can explain the difference and have an honest conversation with yourself and ask yourself, which one are you, brother? Because for a long time, I was a closer and I've been a cooler before, but let me explain, right? Coolers are the 99%, right? They do what they're supposed to do. They're relentless for like a week or a month or whatever the case may be, right? Closers are 30% of people, right? Like I like to relate it to, you can relate it to the 10X rule a little bit, like the normal amount of action, right? They're good for a couple of years and they fall off, right? Cleaners are unstoppable. AKA the 1%ers. And there are a few traits that define cleaners. Let me explain. 1 is lonely. Can you isolate to elevate? Can you go to a place you've never been to obtain something you've never had? I've never said that before. Let me say it again. Can you go to a place you've never been to obtain things that you've never had? So, but fellas, that place is lonely. I'll tell you right now, fellas, I'm as lonely as I've ever been right now in my life. But I'm making a shit ton of progress so fast. Something has to give. Right? Cleaners are lonely. Second, they're confident. I've never met a 1% individual that didn't believe themselves and they're confident. But the reason that a lot of 1%ers and cleaners are confident, fellas, is because they have the proof. All confidence is proof. You keep saying you're going to do something, you don't fucking do it. You said you was going to go to the gym and then you stopped. You said you was going to start that business and you stopped. You said you was going to approach that chick and you really didn't. No wonder you're not confident, brother. You don't have any proof. All cleaners have the proof and that's why they're confident. So that's the second trait. The third trait is they're never fucking satisfied, which I'm going to dive way deeper later on in this module, right? But you can never get too high, never get too low. You must continuously think, what the fuck is next, right? Next, they don't hope it works out. They do everything possible to make sure it does. Fellas, for those that don't know, I was in a situation, man, right? Most of you guys know the story, but for those that don't, I was in a situation. Let me get some water real quick. I was in a situation where I broke up with my girl in December of 2024. and we were still living together. I was just going, in my mind, I'm just like, we just gonna let the lease break, or not break. We gonna let the lease run out, and then we gonna go do our own thing. She had other plans, right? With this apartment, and I'm still in this apartment to this day. With this apartment, fellas, there is no like primary or secondary. Like y'all both the primary, so anyone can make like the primary decision at any time to break the lease without the other person's signature. She did that, right? Not only did she do that, but at the time that she did that, she didn't notice. But I had lost my job, right? So I'm in a situation where she broke the lease. Not only do I got to either pay 4 bands, right? But I got to try to get a new apartment, but I can't get a new apartment, right? Unless I show proof of income. Right? So I'm in a situation like, holy fuck, like I gotta figure out a way to like get a new apartment, but I don't have proof of income. Luckily, I just had a great relationship with the lady at the front desk. So I ended up just keeping it a buck, fellas. I told her exactly what was going on. And due to just me building a lot of rapport with her and always being sweet, respectful, and charismatic when I spoke to her, right? She, allowed me to, she moved me into a 1-bedroom apartment basically with no proof of income and just was like, yeah, you got to pay the rent though. If you don't pay the rent, they're going to kick you out of here. I said, okay, cool. Right? With doing that, with all of that pressure, I still invested the last of my money into John Mark. But let me tell you this right now, fellas. I wasn't thinking, I hope it works. Right? I tell you motherfuckers, when it's scary to jump in, otherwise you'll stay in the same spot. A lot of guys jump in, but they always thinking what's worse. They thinking is the glass half empty instead of the glass is half full. When I invested that money, I said, this is gonna happen. This is my breakthrough. This is my story. And look, here the fuck we are. Right? So I didn't think, oh, I hope this work out. I made sure that it did. That is a trait of a cleaner, right? Fellas, you want to be the best at whatever the fuck you do. Be the cleaner at your craft. Again, this book is talking about basketball, but be a cleaner with YouTube. Be a cleaner with cybersecurity. Be a cleaner with sales, right? Be a cleaner with whatever the case may be, e-commerce, whatever the fuck it is, brother. Just be the best at it. Be exceptional. You should strive for that. Where's your competitive edge as a fucking man? Me, I want to be the best at this shit every day. I feel like I say that every video. I feel like I'm the best from a skill set perspective, right? But I want to be the best. I want to surpass the Andrew Tates, the Kevin Samuels, all the motherfuckers that's respected in the self-improvement realm, in this coaching realm. One of my biggest standards when I joined John Mark's mentorship, he said, put your top 5 goals. I said, I want to be the most profitable and the best 100x mindset coach of all time. Why don't you want that for your craft? That is a cleaner, right? Next, we go into chapter 3, right? Chapter 3 talks about prioritizing your mindset over everything else. You guys always hear me say that mindset is 90% of the shit. This book validated that for me, right? Physical dominance makes you great. Mental dominance makes you unstoppable, right? Fellas, this is why I always tell you guys that the gym must be the foundation for every man, because I'm literally in the process of this right now. Fellas, I would argue I'm cognitively seeking more pain than I was when I was a skinny dweeb with the gym. Right now, I am a skinny dweeb. We're working 10-hour work days locked in with and I'm talking about 10-hour deep work sessions. I am a skinny dweeb with that, right? What I'm trying to tell you that is due to the proof I have going to the gym, not seeing no results, then seeing them, right? Building my discipline muscle, building my willpower muscle, building my persistence muscle, understanding the importance of delayed gratification and routine. Me doing that, right, gave me physical dominance, right? But now that I'm adopting that same mindset with mental dominance, brother, I feel unstoppable. I feel unstoppable. And also that transition to mental dominance is easier because I started with the physical dominance. You can start with the mental dominance. Like you look at, I don't know who the CEO of Facebook is. I forget his name. But even if you look at Jeff Bezos, Jeff Bezos dominated the mental dominance of being unstoppable first with launching Amazon, one of the most profitable companies of all time. Now, if you look, he's jacked. But it's the same mindset. It's the same correlation. I will argue that's a little bit harder to do, right? A little bit more difficult in my opinion. I don't know. We'll have to ask Jeff Bezos, right? But that's what this book is talking about. Cleaners do the hardest things first. So in simple terms of that, fellas, with your mindset, eat the fucking frog. At the time I'm recording this video, it's 2026, but whether it's 2027, 2028, 2030, 2040, it doesn't fucking matter. I challenge you, the year and the season that you're currently in, fellas, stop prioritizing the low leverage tasks. Stop making it seem like you're doing the harder work, but you're really not. You're doing the shit that really doesn't matter. You're checking emails, you're watching YouTube videos, you're reading, brother. We're past that. It's time to do the high leverage tasks that's going to make you the man that you want to be. And outside of the gym, it's something related to your purpose, what you want to do. And if you love your 9 to 5, sharpen your sword with your fucking 9 to 5, or figure out a side hustle that you can maximize your income to get to that 1%. If that's what you desire. If you don't, you probably aren't in here, right? But
all of you guys do. Right? So I challenge you to eat the frog with pain, eat the frog with agony, eat the frog with obstacles, eat the frog with shit that you've been pushing off to the next day. That's what the fuck it takes when you're relentless, fellas, right? You must crave the results so intensely that the work is irrelevant. Let me say that again. This is a major gem from this book. You must crave the results so intensely that the work is irrelevant. How bad do you really want this shit? I've never seen an individual give their all and not get it, fellas. I've never fucking seen it. The issue is you don't really want it as bad as you think. Because I'm going to continue to say it every fucking module. I feel like it. When the why is big enough, the how doesn't fucking matter. So like me doing a 10-hour workday or 10-hour deep section day persistently in this current season that I'm in, it doesn't matter. I got to get guys results. I got to be the best at what I do. I got to retire my mother. Those are my objectives. So I don't give a fuck what I got to do to accomplish them. That must be the mindset, right? You must be comfortable being uncomfortable in any realm, right? Find the comfortability of being uncomfortable. Growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is more painful than standing in the same spot. That uncomfortability will propel you forward, right? You control your body. Your body does not control you. Shut out fear, stress, and negative emotions. Get it done. The body was made to survive, not to be abundant. The body wasn't made to be 8 to 10% body fat, be a man of high character, be a man of God, be a man of charisma, have a 1% income, know how to fight and be respected. The body, physically, biologically, was not made to do that. So it will tell you, stop, you're tired, mentally or physically, just be a dweeb, sleep in. Ignore that motherfucker. It's that inner bitch trying to keep you mediocre. Oh, you don't got to sleep in. You don't got to wake up, brother. You can take a day off. Brother, no, the fuck you can. You are behind. In any way, shape, form, you are behind. That's one of the biggest things I've learned from leveling up. Each time I level up, I feel like I'll be lit for like a day, and then I realize I'm behind. That's why I'm so thankful for John Mark. Like, fellas, like I'm gonna digress for a little bit, then I'm gonna get back on track. I was kicking it. Two stories that come to mind. One, my brother Dylan had came out here to kick it, and all my guys that are in the elite, when you're 1% Academy and you come to Dallas, or if I'm in your city, you know we linking, right? But he came to Dallas. I guess he was with one of his friends. He came to Dallas. We got a workout session in, and while we was working out, he was like, "I could just tell from being around you, like you don't even know how much of him you are." Because I'm not. Because I've been around hymns before. I've been around hymns before, right? And I was talking to my brother Corey the other day, and he was saying like, I was saying like, you got to move with a sense of urgency. Like right now, you're moving too relaxed. Like you're not moving like you want to be a better man. Like as much progress as I've made, Corey, I wake up every single day and I'm like paranoid. Like I got to do more. And he was like, why do you think that? Like you making X amount of money a month. Like you got the physique, X, Y, and Z. I'm like, because brother, that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum, right? Like there's so much more you can obtain in this life, fellas, right? Tim Grover made the work so challenging for Michael when he was training Michael Jordan, fellas, that everything outside of training seemed easy. The prayer form of this, fellas, is me. I'll start with my father. Fellas, I always say and I always think, and this is why I love my dad to death, man. Life is so easy, and I'm such a fucking dog because life wasn't harder than when I was with my dad. That's the beauty of a man. When you go through obstacles, when you go through failure, when you go through uncomfortable times, you can always reflect and think, this is tough, but it's not as hard as that. Nothing is more tough than when I was growing up with my fucking pops. I had to put my phone on the counter at a specific time. I couldn't have friends at my house. I couldn't go out on the weekend. I had to dress up to school every Thursday. I had a behavior sheet, right? And when I was living with my dad, I was living with my stepmom at the time, and my stepmom really didn't fuck with me. So it was really like I had two dads, where a lot of people, they have their dad that's really tough on them, and then they can go to their mom for comfortability. I didn't have that. I wasn't living with my mom. So I had like two dads, two dicks. But that shit made me a fucking dog. Right? Same thing that Tim Grover did with Mike. When Mike got in the game, when Mike was in game 7, he like, this little step back, pull back on the Cleveland Cavaliers for game. I did that shit 1,000 times when I was tired as fuck with Tim Grover. Of course it's cash. Right? Same thing with my high school basketball coach, fellas. I will argue, like my dad was hard on me, but like I knew that my dad loved me. I thought my high school coach hated me. Like I have conversations with him now, but like, even to this day, I feel like he really didn't fuck with me. But that's another story for a different time. But fellas, like the times that he put me in, fellas, it's nothing harder than that, man. Like I love basketball. Basketball was my first love before music, before YouTube, before e-commerce. Basketball was my first love, fellas. I trained for basketball like I wanted to go to the NBA, like I wanted to play D1. It was an everyday thing. Like the same passion you see with these YouTube videos is what I have with basketball.
I used to hate going to practice. He made me hate basketball. I used to have anxiety going to practice. I used to have anxiety seeing him in the hallway. I used to have anxiety playing basketball, taking shots, making passes because I was afraid of what he was going to say. And it was very uncomfortable. But now, fellas, I promise you, nothing can shake me at all. I am literally unbreakable. So I challenge you, maybe you're in that season right now, or maybe you can reflect back to that uncomfortable time. One, if you can reflect back, remember that when you get new problems. And if you don't have any of those, embrace the uncomfortability now, brother, because in a year from now or two from now, you're going to be like, yeah, this is tough, but it wasn't as tough when I was broken. I was depressed and I got out of that rut and I invested my last in the 1% Academy. That has to be the mindset, right? Fellas, I want you to do this right now. I want you to ask yourself where you want to be. And then I want you to ask yourself what you're willing to do to get there. And I want you to just make the plan and act on the plan every single day. Either decrease your desires or increase your admiration for pain. This is a bar. I've never said this before. That's why I stuttered. Either decrease your desires, fellas, or increase your admiration for pain. Let me say it one more time. Either decrease your desires or increase your admiration for pain. I think a lot of y'all motherfuckers think when I say you gotta hate happiness, you gotta seek pain, I be like clout chasing or views chasing. I be dead ass. Because everything that you want is on the other side of that. Just look, literally word for word. I'm looking at my notes. This book literally says you must hate comfort. If you want to be great, if you want to be relentless, if you don't, love that shit, brother. Doesn't matter to me, right? Next, we get into chapter 4, right? And chapter 4 talks about getting in a zone, right? So when you get in that zone, fellas, how this book describes it, right? You will hurt people's feelings, right? So fucking what? Again, you want to be a 1% man or a 1% people pleaser, right? Fellas, when I was a people pleaser, I was a fucking dweeb. Fellas, I was the friend loaning everybody money. I was the friend pulling up on you at 3 a.m. if you needed me. I was the friend picking you up from the airport at 5 a.m. knowing I had to get up early. I was the friend staying on the phone with you all night. I was the friend texting back right away. And what did that propel me to do? To be the man that I didn't want to be. To be the man that I didn't want to be in every single area. Fellas, my friend, I went through a phase of my life where my friends was like talking shit about me because I wouldn't answer the phone or text back right away. I got a new friend now that I'm in Dallas, right? And he's like a new friend. So like, I can tell that it's bothering him a little bit. But like, I don't text back right away. I don't call him back right away. Whip the fucking do, right? My standards come first. Again, you have to go through your season of no before your season of yes. It sounds extreme, brother, but the shit that you're chasing is extreme. The shit that you desire is extreme. If your effort and your inputs can't match the extreme outputs, brother, decrease the output immediately, right? That's what I had to do. I had to realize like, brother, if I want like this Urus, if I want to retire my mom, if I want to be the best in the self-improvement space, if I want to make $100K a month, like I got to dedicate a shit ton of energy cognitively and physically. And I can't do that if I'm fucking caring about what people think and being a 1% friend or a 1% boyfriend. I just can't. Not at this phase of my life. You have to make the same sacrifice or don't and remain mediocre. What this also talks about, fellas, is embracing your dark side. Mike never lost his hunger and his killer instinct. Why? Because he embraced his dark side. This is what makes you a killer. You have to channel your anger in results. Every man has a villain, fellas. We don't love fucking Bruce Wayne. We love Batman. We don't love fucking Clark Kent. We love Superman. We don't love the fucking dweeb-ass white motherfucker with glasses. We love the Hulk. Part of the reason why I have so much anger and passion in these modules, and especially on my whiteboard videos, fellas, is because I'm reminding myself of the pain. I'm reminding myself of the dark side. I'm reminding myself of how people did me. What this book talked about, fellas, is Mike continuously reminded himself of that. It was certain examples in this book, fellas, that it was talking about, like, Mike would have like 30, the game would be close, and then the other team, somebody on the other team will start talking shit and just say something. And then he'd just go nuts. How I operate with my life right now, fellas, I pretend that somebody said something to me every day. That's what this book talks about, to take it to a relentless level, right? Next, we get into chapter 5 and 6, fellas. Am I going the wrong way? Okay. And 5 and 6, it talks about instinct, right? So this is one of my favorite chapters, right? Fellas, We were born to be bad and taught to be good. Think about it as babies. Like as babies, we naturally wanted to just fuck up everything, draw on the walls, throw our food, cry. We were born to be bad. Even if you look at it from an animal aspect, compare a lion in the zoo and a lion in a fucking wild. The lion in the zoo is just sitting there, chilling, doing whatever you got to do. You look at a lion like in the wild, like if you watch that shit on YouTube, them motherfuckers be going nuts, running, scratching, eating everything, seeking their prey, right? What this book talks about is to be the lion in the fucking wild. Stop listening to outside opinions, brother. When you become too focused on what's going on around you, you lose touch of what's going on inside you. Let me say that again. When you become too focused on what's going on around you, you lose touch of what's going on inside you. Be you. Stop seeking validation. Stop trying to break generational curses, trying to please a generation that is cursed. They hated on Jesus. Why the fuck wouldn't I hate on you? And you must understand, no matter what you do, they will say something. When you're a fat fuck, they'll tell you to go to the gym. When you go to the gym, they'll say you're a musclehead. Fuck them. Society has conformed us, conditioned us to be soft and play it safe. Fuck society! Be the baby that was fucking shit up. Be the lion in the wild. That's what this book talks about, fellas, right? You know what to do. Trust yourself and use your instinct. Research tells you what others have learned. Instinct tells you what you have learned. Cleaners don't seek approval from anyone. When you are great, you trust your instincts. And when you're unstoppable, your instincts trust you. Let me say it again for the dudes in the back. When you are great, you trust your instincts. But when you are unstoppable, your instincts trust you, right? Powerful, right? Next, we get into chapter 7, fellas. Chapter 7 talks about pressure. Pressure is a privilege, fellas. You must embrace pressure. If you feel pressure or stress, you just didn't prepare. And even if you feel pressure and stress, thrive in that, right? The purest form of this is like, I remember LeBron was talking about this when he was in the finals, and they asked him when it was like game 7 versus the Cavs or the Spurs, I don't remember. And they asked him, like, how do you deal with the pressure of going to all these finals and dealing with a game 7? And he says it's a blessing, right? He says all these reporters talking about me X, Y, and Z, but they wasn't talking about me when I wasn't in the playoffs. They wasn't talking about me when I wasn't in the finals. Pressure is a privilege, fellas. Stress is a privilege, fellas. Again, to be a 1% individual, you either have to perfect your craft, which LeBron, Mike, Dewey, Wade, and Kobe did, the individuals in this book, or you have to solve a shit ton of problems. I can tell you right now, with both, brother, it takes a shit ton of stress. It takes a shit ton of pressure, right? I used to get like anxiety because I give all my guys in the elite 24-hour communication access. So sometimes when I would wake up in the morning, I used to get anxiety, like looking at my phone and have to respond back to 10 guys that need my assistance and have a problem that I have to provide solutions to. Now I love it. Now I see how fast can I give them solutions, right? That has to be the mindset, fellas. For a lot of guys, fellas, it's easier to stay in the comfort zone close to the ground, right? With minimal expectations. But one thing you have to understand with that, with minimal expectations and minimal pressure, you get minimal rewards. So don't be most guys, right? What also kind of stuck with me about this, fellas, is the differentiations between pressure, right? So I used to think the most pressure was like when you're a dweeb and you want to come up. I used to think like, man, like this is the hardest thing ever. Like I got to change my life. I got to level up X, Y, and Z. I was wrong. And John Mark changed my perspective on this. Fellas, it's more pressure when you already got the results and you got to maintain it. Right? So it's more like, let's use the physique for instance. It's more pressure for me to maintain my physique because now I really don't got to go and I can keep it. I really can eat like shit and it not affect me for like a month or two. So now it's even harder to keep the same consistency, to keep the same relentless, to keep the same attention to detail, to keep the same routine because I already got the results. Same from YouTube, right? When I was hungry in the beginning, like I had to stay consistent. I had to 4 structure today, a video a day, just to stay in the algorithm, just to create that omnipresence. Now that I got a little bit more clout, a little bit more views, it's very easy for me to say, I don't have to post no videos this week. I'm him. I can just wait till next week. They still gonna watch. So the real pressure starts, brother, when you get to that barrier, right? I used to say a lot in my videos and I was wrong. I used to say a lot, fellas, there's 2 types of phases in your life, the building phase and the maintaining phase. The building phase is harder. Nah, the maintaining phase is harder because you have every excuse not to do it, right? Next, we get into right? Your level of success is defined by how well you embrace and manage stress. Every 1% man can manage stress. If you don't want to like manage stress, just be a dweeb, right? Every millionaire manages stress, right? That's why I hate when I get on calls with guys in the elite and they're like, "Cry, it's a lot going on. Cry, I'm dealing with a lot." Bingo! That's the magic. Can you deal with a lot and still be relentless? Can you deal with a lot and still get a 7 out of 7 completion rate? Can you deal with a lot and still go to the gym? Can you deal with a lot and still track your macros? Can you deal with a lot and still post that video with enthusiasm? That's the magic. That's the separator. That's how you create that margin, that gap, and that barrier from 99% of men. Brother, newsflash. Like I said in the substance, are they giving a fuck? Why do you think you're special? Everybody's going through a lot. That's the magic. You can go through a lot and still get it done. Your level of success is defined by how well you manage and embrace stress. If you want to not have stress, brother, like ask me for a refund. Because clearly you don't desire to be a 1%er at all, right? Next we'll get into chapter 8. Chapter 8, one of my favorite chapters, talks about being the chosen one, right? Fellas, when you're the chosen one or the cleaner, as this book says, everybody depends on you in some way, shape, or form. You are dependent upon for solutions. Cleaners are ready for anything at all times. When I think about this, fellas, I think about my grandfather. You guys always hear me say that my grandfather was the purest definition of a 1% man. And one of the reasons being is because like he just like was everybody's solution. My grandfather was my grandfather, for those that don't know, my grandfather is a pastor. He once upon a time was making over 6 figures a year. He's married, man of God, kids, educated, plays sports, just like very well-rounded as a man, right? The great example for me. High character individual, charismatic, all of the above, every single seat. And I'm very observant of the individuals around me, especially if they're exceptional, right? And I used to always go home for summer break when I was in college, and instead of staying at my dad or my mom, I would stay at my grandparents' house, right? And I would observe my grandfather, and my grandfather had to provide solutions for people at the church, his congregation. He had my mom and my aunties calling him, his daughters. He had his wife, my grandma, always asking him something. He had me always asking him something. He had his other grandkids always asking him something. He was the chosen one. Bingo! 9 times out of 10, life as a man, you are the chosen one. But if you want to take it a step further and be that 1% individual, brother, you are the chosen one. Period. Even when I was with John Mark, like he got his sales reps calling him like, "Yo, what do I do with this?" Or he got his clients texting him, calling him like, "Yo, what's this and that?" His mom calling him like, "Yo, blah 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 blah." That's beautiful. You got to thrive in that when you're the chosen one, right? Period. Right. And within doing so, when people are dependent upon you with solutions, what this book talks about, fellas, is being confident, right? Cleaners make quick, confident decisions. Create your own pressure to succeed. Don't allow others to create it for you. Have the confidence to trust that you can do and handle anything, right? Fellas, on a daily basis, outside of death, especially with God on my side, I don't think it's nothing I can't do. Like when I see a new video concept, I can do that. When I see a new real concept, I can do that. When I got 8 calls, I can do it. When I got to record 2 modules, I can do it. When I got to go to the gym even when I don't feel like it, I can do it. When I got to increase weight on bar gear and the split squats even though I don't feel like it, I can do it. That's part of being the chosen one, fellas. There's nothing that you can't do. You literally are relentless. You're unstoppable. That has to be the mindset, right? Next, we get into chapter 9, right? Chapter 9 talks about being a killer, right? And it differentiates the difference between a cooler, a closer, and a cleaner. Again, I want to talk about it from this mentality, a killer mentality. A cooler does a good job, and waits for validation, waits for somebody to pat him on the back. A closer does a good job and pats himself on the back. A cleaner does a good job because that's what he's supposed to do. He doesn't seek validation from anybody, right? You think at this point of me recording this video, LeBron is 41, averaging 25 plus, 6 plus assists and 6 plus rebounds. You think it's become normal. They don't praise it like they used to when he was in his first stint in Cleveland. Same thing with Joker and Russell Westbrook. When they was getting all them triple doubles, like everybody was praising them. Now it's still normality. They don't do it to seek validation. They do it because that's them. That's their identity. I want to ask you, brother, which one are you? Do you need a pat on the back when you do well? Do you have to pat yourself on the back when you do well? Or when you do well, is that the normality? Is that the expectation? Your life is a reflection of your standards. What standard are you setting for yourself? When your standard is excellence, it's like, that's what I'm supposed to do.
That's all I'm supposed to do, right? Another thing that this chapter talks about in regards to being a killer, fellas, is that you don't have to like the process. You just have to like the results. Now, I take this with a grain of salt, right? I get where they're coming from, but in my opinion, life is the most fulfilled as a man when you love the process and the result. Like I love like being in the trenches, helping you guys, making these modules, waking up at 4 a.m. I love that. And that's why I think that's what makes me good at what I do. But what this book talks about, to be a killer, you really don't have to love it. You can just love what comes out of it so much that you accept whatever the fuck come with it, right? Like I have guys that they do trading. They don't really love trading. They just love what comes out of it. Guys that do e-commerce, they don't really love e-commerce. They just love what comes out of it. That's fine in some cases, according to this book. What I'm trying to tell you, fellas, is take this with a grain of salt. I want you to find something that you do love, the inputs just as much as the outputs. That's when you find magic. But if you don't, fall back into just loving that output. Because when you love the output so much, when the why is so big, the how doesn't matter, right? Next, we get into chapter 10, right? This is one of my favorite chapters. This gives a very unique angle. And it talks about fuck following your passion, right? Passion is bullshit, what this chapter says, right? Passion is feeling or an emotion for something or someone. Who gives a fuck how you feel, and it's more so what the fuck are you going to do about it? Don't follow your passion. What this chapter talks about, work at your passion, right? So like, fellas, I didn't like, I wasn't a teenager and was like, YouTube and coaching is my passion. Like when I was like 15, 16. No, I wasn't, right? I was in a specific situation and I wanted to make my ex feel away at a certain time. I wanted to glow up and be respected as a man. So I said, let me pick up this camera and just make a name for myself. And I kept working at it, right? To the point where, damn, I realized I have a lot of value to provide. I've made a few transformations in my life. I've been through the trial and errors. I could definitely speed up the process for different individuals if they want to work with me. And I found my passion, but I didn't follow it. I worked at it, right? A lot of guys, they look at like, damn, what's the easiest vehicle to get me to success? Brother, there is no easy vehicle. And the purest form of this, John Mark says this a lot, fellas, like, you don't get motivated and take action. The motivation comes from taking action. So in all, fellas, you will find your passion by taking action, by working at different things. You'll be like, damn, I actually like this. That's how I came about. Damn, I actually like YouTube. I actually like helping guys, right? So a lot of times, fellas, just pick something, work at it, and you'll be surprised at like what your passion is. I promise you, right? Thinking doesn't achieve outcomes, only actions do, right? Good things don't come from those who wait. Good things come from those who work. Everything significant in my life came from me taking it. Period. Nothing was given to me, fellas. I had to take that shit, right? Most people test the waters before jumping in. 1%ers aren't afraid to get wet or drown if they have to. Holy fuck. Let me say that again for the dweebs in the back, right? Most people test the waters before jumping in. 1%ers aren't afraid to get wet or drown if they have to. So the same way I'm telling you, fellas, find your passion, work at it first to find it, to see if you love it. You can't be afraid to get wet with different things to figure out what the fuck you love, especially if you're a young man. That's why it's so important to get a grasp in your life as a young man so you can try different things, right? Because the older you get, the more responsibility you have, the more energy you got to like direct to different areas of your life. When you're young, fellas, you want to take advantage of that time to jump headfirst into many avenues as you can to figure out what the fuck you like and what the fuck you're good at, right? Good game, bad game, loss or win, wake up every single day and commit to the fucking work with working at your passion, right? Next, we get into chapter 11, right? Chapter 11 speaks about even more, kind of doubles down on what I just said. Be addicted to the results instead of loving the work. Again, take this with a grain of salt as well. But you want to ask yourself, right? You don't have to love the work, fellas. You just got to be addicted to the results. Ask yourself, like, what you have to sacrifice to have what you really want. And then ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to have what you really want? If those two things don't match up, you don't want it bad enough, right? So, like, this is so powerful, man. Like, this alone is a video. Let me say it again, right? Ask yourself what you have to sacrifice to get what you want, right? So let's do it in real time. To get a Lamborghini Urus, I have to like commit to showing up with enthusiasm to calls with my brothers. I have to make the best systems in the game and continuously refine it. I have to make the best YouTube videos of all time. Okay, what do I got to do that?
I can't really have a girlfriend right now. I can't really be around my family right now. I have to be stuck in this motherfucking laptop like a monk. I have to, continuously eat, prioritize my macronutrients and maintain my physique, go to the gym, 10-hour work days, right? Stay out my comfort zone, stay off social media, even though I want to scroll, not buy TV. Okay. Next question. Are you willing to do those things? I'm willing to do them, and that's why I'm doing them. Some of you guys, I hate to say, you know what it takes, but you're not willing to do it. Either decrease your desires or increase your sacrifice, fellas, right? Part of committing to hard work is knowing what you have to give up to do the hard work. Something has to give. To get what most don't have, you must do what most won't do. There's 168 hours in a week. If you spend 0 hours not focusing on what you want to be and the man you want to become, you'll be the same man you were in 5 years. You have to sacrifice some hardest, fellas. Sacrifice your weekend. Sacrifice your 59. Sacrifice waking up early. Sacrifice relationships. Don't think you're special. Every 1% of individual had to do it. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But just decrease your desires. Stop saying you want this 1% lifestyle. You really don't, because you're not willing to put in the work to achieve it. It's really that simple, right? Next, we get into chapter 12, right? Chapter 12 talks about being feared. I love this chapter, right? Fellas, a cooler, let's break down the cooler, cleaner, and a closer again, right? A cooler is liked, a closer is respected, a cleaner is feared, and they're respected for doing exactly what everybody feared to do, fear that he do, right? You can't give a fuck about being liked, fellas. You only can give a fuck about succeeding. Now, you don't have to think like this, fellas, but that's just what Tim Grover said Michael Jordan was like. He didn't give a fuck what people talk about. You ever hear people compare Michael Jordan and they say like Brian want to be liked, Jordan didn't? Now that I will agree with. Like Brian more so is like the encouraging teammate, like, yo, you can do better, X, Y, and Z. According to the public, the media, he could be different behind closed doors. Mike, they say Mike and Kobe was like dicks, right? And I'm not saying you have to be Mike and Kobe, brother. You don't have to be relentless. But me, I want to be relentless. I could care less about being liked, right? I could care less about being liked, right? And I'm gonna give you two examples. One example is with the guys in the elite, right? I am not your friend. I don't give a fuck if you like me at all. I don't. I'm your brother. My job is to get you results and hold you accountable and have some tough conversations with a lot of shit that you don't want to hear at times. Who gives a fuck if you're liked? I don't. Another example of this, fellas, is like I had this huge barrier with like yelling and screaming like I do on YouTube with Instagram. Why? Because I had a lot of chicks following me on there. And I used to think like, damn, if I yell on here, I'm going to lose chicks, X, Y, and Z. But I had to come to the realization that if a chick can't accept me for who I am, that's not a chick I want in my life. So although I started losing chicks that was following me, followers, the women that is in my DM now, fellas, are some of the most feminine women, and they're my type. I've already filtered them through. One of the worst things as a man is to be in a relationship or be dating a chick, and you got to dim your light. You can't really be yourself. So that's why I have no fear. I'm myself. You like it, cool. You don't, fuck you. It doesn't matter to me. That has to be the mentality if you want to be relentless. If you don't, just be a dweeb. It doesn't matter to me, right? Period, right? Never be afraid to stand out and never try to fit in, right? We care about what we want, not being liked. When you're a cleaner, when you're a 1% man, we're not here to make friends. We're here to achieve success. Let me say that again. We're not here to make friends. We're here to be great and achieve remarkable success. Make a decision, brother, because you can't do both, right? Chapter 13 talks about trusting few, right? And what this chapter talks about is that these 1% individuals in basketball, is like the Dwayne Wades, the Kobe Bryants, the Mikes, right? They had one person and they could trust and, trust them like with, their craft, right? You only are as good as the individuals that you choose to be around. Don't surround yourself with yes men. That's another reason why I'm extremely hard on you guys that are in the elite. I'll tell you guys, it's not coming from I'm just want to be a mean and be a dick. It's coming from a place of love. Like, I want you to be great. I don't think you realize like the potential that you have, but the potential isn't shit unless you fulfill it. And in order for me to fulfill my potential at times when I played basketball, or even when I was growing up as a young man, is I was around my dad and my basketball coach, and them motherfuckers was hard as fuck on me, but it was needed. One of the worst things you could do as a man, and the reason why a lot of guys like think they're that guy or think they're ahead or think they're doing better than what they are, is because one, they're around the dweebs. Two, is because their friends, like, they're yes men. They just tell them what they want to hear. They want to be nice. They want to maintain a relationship. Nah. With all of my male friends, I'm always down to have uncomfortable conversations. With my female friends, not so much, because they respond a little differently. But like, if one of my male friends is being a dweeb in some way, shape, or form, I'm holding them accountable. That's a real friend. Matter of fact, that's a brother. Right? all and what this also talks about, fellas, is when you ask for advice, right? It's basically be careful with the advice that you take, and take it from individuals that are more exceptional than you or on the same journey as you, right? I would never take, like, I love my dad to death. I would never take like how to scale my business advice from my dad, right? And like, I would never take, and like my guys that are fathers in 1% Academy, I would never take how to be a father advice from Cry. Cry's not a dad, right? So some things you have to take with a grain of salt, and only take advice from people that are where you want to be or on the same journey as you and like on your level, if that makes sense, right? Next, we get into chapter 14, and chapter 14 talks about failure, right? Cleaners only see failure as opportunity. When people say you failed, fellas, what it really means, if I did that, I would feel like a failure. Failure isn't even real. Like, when people say like you failed, literally all it means is like you did a lot of shit that they could never do. They could never fathom. That's why one of the biggest traits you can have as a man when you're a relentless dog is not giving a fuck about what people think at all, right? At all. Because people could never have the balls to do what you do. Never have the balls to put in the effort that you do, to take the investment you do, to take the risk that you do. So when they say you fail, it doesn't fucking matter. You will never receive criticism or say that you fell from an individual doing better than you. Ever in life. Why? Because they understand that you have to fail to prevail. Right? You have to learn and adapt from your setbacks. That equals success. Brother, Mike was failing for years when he was playing Detroit. Them bad boys was kicking his ass. LeBron was failing for years when he ran against the Mavs. JJ Barea and Jason Terry and Jason Kidd was kicking his ass. Look at them now. They're exceptional. They had to go through the failure and agony, right? You must love failure. A lot of you motherfuckers are wondering like, damn, why aren't I where I want to be? It's because you haven't failed enough. How big is your failure resume, fellas? It must be huge. Every 1% individual that you aspire to be like went through a shit ton of failure, right? Seek to fail more. Okay, Cry, I get it, but how do I fail more? Take relentless action. If you're not failing on an everyday basis, you're not taking enough action. It's really that simple, right? Next, we get into chapter 15, right? And this chapter actually like switched my mindset when I read it immediately. You guys have probably heard me say in the videos, like, celebrate the wins, like celebrate for a day and get back to work, which is what I used to do. Like every time I would get like 10K subs, 12K subs, I would celebrate. Like I would take myself out to dinner. Fellas, I just hit 14K subs. I didn't do shit. A couple weeks ago, I had my best week of business. Like I made basically what it took me to make with 3 months with my 9 to 5 in 1 week, and I didn't do anything. Why? Because I'm chasing a certain level of intensity and relentlessness that these individuals had. Fellas, when Mike won a championship, he was holding up 2 fingers. When he held up his when he won his second championship, when they took pics, he was holding up 3 fingers. When he won his 4th championship, he was holding up 5 fingers. He was always thinking, what's next? That has to be the mentality if you want to be a relentless dog. There is no, you get to the mountaintop, okay, cool. Nah, what more can I do? I'll hit 100K a month and be like, can I hit 1 million? I'll hit 1 million and think, can I hit 10? I'll hit 10 million and think, why the fuck can I be a billionaire? These motherfuckers bleaching and pee just like me. Is Jeff Bezos better than me? No. He's not better than me. Successful people aren't better than you because they're successful. They're successful because they're better than you. A lot of reasons why these 1% individuals are 1% individuals, fellas, is because they don't give a fuck about their accomplishments. I don't want you to either in the current season you're in. Fuck them, right? We get on calls. Congratulations. There's more work to do. You lost 5 pounds. What do you fucking do? There's more work to do. If you want to be a relentless dog, if you want to be, I want to be a dog, but I want to be celebrated, cool. Do that. But if you want to be like Kobe and Mike within your specific craft, don't do that, right? Cleaners are always thinking about what's next. What's the next move? What's the next kill, right? Cleaners are always thinking that they can do more and improve. Why? Because winning is an addiction. You must be addicted to winning. You must either be addicted to winning or hate losing, or both. Mike and Kobe had that trait, fellas, right? Cleaners also understand that they have no ceiling. They have no ceiling. That's why LeBron to me is a cleaner. He's like, who said I can't be 40 and average 25 plus? It's never been done, but I don't have no ceiling. They talk about Father Time, nigga, fuck Father Time, right? Who's to say that I can't make 200K a month in this specific business model? I don't have no ceiling. I'm him. That has to be the mindset, whatever you fuck you do.
I was talking to one of my guys, and he was preparing for an interview in the elite, and he was just like, "Cry, there's just no way I'll be able to memorize all these questions or just know how to do everything that's in the job description." Well, brother, if you think like that, I'll tell you right now, you probably won't. You won't, right? The purest form of this, fellas, is with women. I used to have a lot of female friends, man, and my female friends did not always have the best taste in men. And they used to just date dweebs. Like, niggas would be broke, not have a car, not have a job. And I used to always think, like, why does my female friend love this nigga so much? Part of it is because they thought they were those guys. They didn't think they had any limitations to life. They believed that they could pull my female friends. They believed they didn't have a ceiling. You must do the same with everything you wish to obtain in this life, right? Cleaners don't feel burnout. No. Cleaners feel burnout, fellas, but are more scared of the consequences of not giving into it, right? So, fellas, I have weeks where I'm exhausted. I have days where I'm exhausted. I have months where I'm like, holy shit, this shit is extreme. But I'm more fearful of like, what's gonna happen if I give in and don't keep going? You gotta have a healthy paranoia in this life, fellas. We only get one life. This shit flies the fuck by. I feel like yesterday was my 18th birthday. I remember my 22nd birthday like it was yesterday. I remember the start of this video and now I'm 48 minutes in. Time flies the fuck by, man. Every day matters. Every second matters. Every choice matters. So when I feel that burnout, fellas, I'm like, man, this is what I asked for. I'm right in the middle of what I prayed for. That's what it takes to be relentless, fellas. If you want to be relentless, if you don't, just be a dweeb. It doesn't make me a fucking difference, man. Right? But again, the point of these modules, fellas, is to speed up the process for you. But I recommend that you guys read this book. Again, the notes for this book will be attached in like the daily motives, relentless daily motives will be attached. Copy and post it and add it to your notes. If you're not an elite, if you are an elite, just hit me like, yo, text me like, cry, add this to my dashboard and I will. Fellas, but it's time. It's time, right? This book is extreme. A lot of the things I said are extreme. Fellas, being if you got a room of 100 people, man, and being that one individual, like, brother, to be that one individual, it's extreme, man. If you don't want to be extreme, stop saying you want to be a 1% man. Please! Love y'all. See y'all soon. Peace.